Today we got shrooms.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, May 27th, 2018. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1037.
This is No Agenda.
Defending the universe from bugs and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where it's gonna be a scorcher, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
It's the only
somebody points out.
I was going to say the only show that has two completely different energy levels at the opening.
Yes.
Very different.
So I'm thinking, why is there so much publicity over this cockroach milk story?
Let me play the backstory 25 seconds first.
Latest health food craze. It might make your stomach really queasy. Researchers have found that cockroach milk, it may actually be the next big superfood.
That's hard to believe, but scientists say milk produced by the Pacific beetle cockroach is a fantastic source of nutrition. Apparently, it contains essential amino acids, more than 3 times the energy a person can get from cow's milk. That's just nasty.
That is just
How about
nasty.
I just have 3 glasses of cow's milk and hold the cockroach?
Have some kale.
So we all picked up on the story. I think, well, first of all, you predicted that kale, which you just heard at the tag there, would eventually lead to this category called superfoods. And I do want to recognize that they just called this a superfood, which to me, it just is a bug as far as I'm concerned. But okay, superfood.
Cockroach.
And there must be some Armageddon on the horizon.
No, you know my thesis on this.
Just shut up, slaves, and eat bugs.
No, no.
Okay.
That's not the actual thesis is that the reptilians are sick of doing everything on the sly.
They want it out in the open.
They want it out in the open so they can eat this stuff and then be very happy with it. Look what I'm doing.
Woohoo! Bugs. Yeah, I think there's something to it.
Tastes like poop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always liked that theory. Sorry, it slipped my mind for a moment.
Yeah.
It's as good as any.
They can do virtue signaling by drinking the cockroach milk. Hey,
look at me!
I'm saving the planet.
But how would you know it's cockroach milk? It has to have some distinguishing factors.
It probably tastes like it's probably gosh awful. That's how you'd know.
I don't know. I mean, it may taste good. I drink coconut milk from time to time, which has nothing to do with milk. It's just coconut or coconut for that matter. Who knows what's in that? But I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. I did have.
Would somebody out there please arrange for Adam to get a big glass of this stuff and let him try it and give it a shot?
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. How many cockroaches does it take to get a glass of milk out of them?
I don't know. I mean, I've stomped on some cockroaches in my day.
Any white goop come out?
Yeah, white goop comes out. They must be diluting it with something. I mean, there's just not enough goop to go around.
No, you just need a lot of cockroaches.
Or do you milk them? Do they have little teats you got to milk?
They got little machines.
Well, I like your theory the best, and I will hold to it. I also think maybe there's something else going on. Why are we being told to eat bugs continuously? It never stops.
Saves the planet. I don't know.
It's not even
an animal.
You heard that story? Did you have a version of that story? No, you didn't.
No, I just thought I'd mention it. I wasn't right. I don't have a clip. If that's what you're wondering.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because my clip was, there's nothing about global warming, none of that. Just, hey, it's really nutritious.
I think it's implied, but then again, if it's just about the reptilians, then who cares?
Or is there some kind of grand promotion coming up soon for some bug line? Maybe Amazon's going to do
it. How about a movie?
Speaking of which, how much coincidence does it have to be when you've got actually the island where the volcano is in Hawaii? You got to pronounce it correctly, Hawaii. There's not a lot of people that live there, I understand.
There's plenty of people that live there.
It's not like the other two islands where everybody lives. That's what I've been
told by comparison.
Exactly. So how convenient and coincidental is it that we have this taking place at the moment this movie comes out?
So, what are you dating, like an accountant now, or
Owen,
ventriloquist?
stop it.
You love a dummy.
This is not why we're here.
You can blame me, try to shame me.
I know why we're here. A rescue op. Save the dinosaurs from an island that's about to explode.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
It's the new Jurassic Park.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Island's about to explode from volcanic activity. They have to save the dinosaurs.
Well, that's going an awful long way to do some promotion for a movie. Let's set this baby off somehow.
Why not? We're talking billions of dollars here.
Yeah, well, that's far-fetched.
Okay.
Anyway, what else?
Nothing. That's all.
So,
you mentioned movie
you
promotion.
just ran into. I'm sorry, you ran into my brick wall.
Yes, you set it up perfectly.
Boom. Sorry.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah, there you go. I did have, just speaking of going back to the bugs, I did have dinner with the former New York banker after Thursday's show. And he took me to, he always knows all the hip and swanky new places. And there's this place on the east side in Austin. And it has a Japanese name. And of course, I completely spaced on it right now. Apparently by some famous chef who's setting up. It's kind of like a. It's
Morimoto?
No, hold on a second. I can find it in my notes here somewhere, because they had a very odd. It's more like a bar with snacks that you could get. So it was like tapas food more than
Yes, like a robata yaki.
What's a robata yaki?
It's where they have that big giant barbecue thing behind their cooking stuff.
Kenmuri Tatsuya is the name of the place. You'll want to look it up. Kenmuri Tatsuya. And they have a lot of these dishes where you eat, the fish whole. It's a little, forget what kind of fish it is.
You eat the fish whole?
The whole fish. Not the fish is whole, the whole fish.
You said a fish hole, so they give you an empty plate.
There you go. Enjoy your fish hole.
This is the fish that's not there.
Enjoy your fish hole. I mean, prawns with the head on. I've had that before. I don't care for it too much. It's crunchy.
You get the live prawn, the one that's jumping around.
No. He was on a
sushi. They call that in Japan.
He was on a skewer. Did you look it up? Kenmuri Tatsuya?
No.
You should look this. How do you spell it? Kenrmuri. That should be enough. Yeah, I'll look it up for you. Austin. It's some famous guy. You know all about these things. Here we go. Yeah, the team. Oh yeah, here it is. The team behind the fame.
URI. Texas. Ishikawa in East Austin.
Yeah. Their website is
4.5 stars to 491 Google reviews. It's closed as we speak.
Here, it's the team behind the Ramen Tatsuya, which I don't think I'd ever would want to go to. I don't like ramen.
Oh no, there's a ramen bar. One of the most famous ramen bars opened up a branch in Berkeley.
Yeah,
and you go in there, and it's actually pretty astonishing. But it's the bone broth that does it.
Okay, so here they have octopus fritters. What was there was head on prawn. There was some. I can't find it. It was a lot of. It was like a fusion thing that I hadn't really seen before. So I don't know. It just seems like a trend in eating in general is changing. That's the only reason I bring it up. No other reason than that.
Okay.
Well, moving towards eating things that previously might have seemed disgusting.
I don't know. Just ask them go in there. Here they are. Here's their menu. Oh, please. So that one of the line items is munchies.
Yeah.
So today's sushi.
It's Austin, John. It's still Austin, no matter what
munchies,
you say.
and then smoked and skewers. On a barbecue boat.
Yeah.
Barbecue boat. Did you get the barbecue boat?
I got the boat. There was some fun stuff in the boat. Very spicy.
Here's one for the rice dishes. Instead of just rice dishes or whatever. Rice stuff.
Hey, okay, stop. I just had an idea.
Well, you told me to look it up. What do you expect from me?
Good, but now I want to suggest something. Another business venture. Ramen and bugs. Come on, no one's done it
right
yet.
to the top of our list.
No one has done it yet. Ramen and bugs. Can you see it?
Yeah,
would you like some cockroach milk with your ramen? Crunchy noodles. All right, we'll mark that one down. Ramen and bugs.
Ramen and bugs.
It's
I'm
a
all
win.
in. Count me in for the huge investment.
I'll talk to the former New York banker. He'd probably be into it.
Keep telling me to get a piece of the action.
Yeah, well, he'd want to do an ICO, of course. But yeah, that's it. Ramen and bugs. That's right, everybody.
Here, I'm going over the Munchies menu. There's another thing here. This is good. Hot Pockets with a Z.
I saw that. I did not have
so
that.
So they don't
dish.
violate the trademark.
Yeah.
House Pickles.
Okay.
Wait. Pickle plate. House Pickles, $7. If you go to the worst deli in New York City, you get a big pile of pickles for free.
Austin is gone insane. I've been reporting on this for a number of years. You've probably noticed.
Yeah, I guess.
And this is the East Side, and $7 for a pickle.
Is that the
slums
area?
That's the slums. That's what we're gentrifying.
So a slum
We're gentrifying that part of town. Get out, poor people. Go away. Move further east.
So they do skewers. They got kushiyaki.
Yeah, okay. Hey, have you been following this?
Wait. Hold on.
God. I'm so sorry I brought it up.
Here. Yeah, you should be. So they have these different skewers, beef tongue, miso marinated scallops, and then this one, shrooms and bacon. Shrooms. Hey, we got shrooms. Be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah. It was his idea. It was his idea. He tried to explain. He did a complicated trade on Tesla, which I was trying to understand. Basically, he's making money off of the margin that there is when you write an option.
Yeah, you do that.
Yeah. So
you have to know what you're doing, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He says, I'm going to make so much money on it. Okay. So just passing that on. Have you been following this Tommy Robinson thing in Gitmo Nation East?
I've only been following a few of the tweets, so I'm not completely caught up, but I do know there's a big stink about it.
Yeah, so Tommy Robinson, I think one of the original founders of the English Defense League, which and the reason it's interesting to me is because I lived in the UK when I heard a lot of this, and I'd heard of Tommy Robinson, and you know how the media likes to repeat things like the Russians hacked our election, and then forevermore that'll just be true. And whatever it means, they hacked our election. So Tommy Robinson is a Nazi, KKK hooligan.
Wait, hold on a second.
I'm just.
Yeah. Okay. But
making a point.
Don't forget, for people who, I think you should kind of push that meme that he's KKK in England.
In England. Exactly. But certainly racist, white pride, hooligan, Nazi, all of this stuff. His haircut doesn't help. Now,
soccer fan.
But, and so that was just kind of, and I'd also heard of grooming. That was a story when I was there as well.
Really?
I wasn't really doing a lot. I hadn't quite awoken yet to the media deconstruction. I wasn't woke, bro. And so this Tommy Robinson, a couple months ago, it popped up again. And one of our nights, Brian of London in Israel, he's been doing a lot of reporting on it. And I was like, wow, here's a guy who he's defending this Tommy Robinson. For all I know, he probably hates Jews. And, what the hell? What's going on? So I did start to look into it. And looking into it means you got to just watch hours and hours of interview footage with the guy. And that's what's available. And he seems like a very reasonable chap, quite honestly. And if you know that these grooming gangs that are going on in the north of England, and he's from Luton, but we know there's a real big pedophile problem in the United Kingdom. Let's not pretend that Jim will fix it didn't happen, and all the necrophilia and crazy crap, and people who are supposed to investigate it die, and there's bad crap going on with what some individuals and groups are doing in the UK with children. And this grooming, which is mainly Pakistanis. Now, it's become a Muslim story, which I think is where the problem lies. But the Pakistanis have been doing this for 40 years. They've been grooming young girls. And we've had a couple stories. Rotherham, of course, we know, we played some clips about that, about the same thing happening there. And Tommy Robinson, not for 40 years, but since he started EDL, and I think was late 80s, maybe even or 90s, he's been trying to bring this story to attention. And I think it's gotten so rampant in these places that there are a lot of people complicit, people of authority. And so he keeps trying to bring this to light. And a couple days ago, he was arrested on the Criminal Justice Act of 1925, apparently convicted and thrown in jail for 13 months. He's been thrown in jail before, and he usually gets thrown in jail right in the middle of a bunch of Muslims who want to kill him. That's kind of the way the story goes.
That's handy.
Yeah. But so there's not much more to say about that other than, the problem is real. And I think there's a lot of covering up going on, and it's not like we're not familiar with exactly this problem with the welfare of children and elites in the United Kingdom, and it gets covered up. But what to me is interesting is the Criminal Justice Act of 1925, why he was arrested, and the fact that there was a D notice issued after his arrest, which means the media is forbidden from reporting on anything regarding the topic. And we've discussed D notices many times. What happened in this case is he was doing I think it was a face bag live video in front of the courthouse. And he may have been, on courthouse grounds, but that's kind of irrelevant because I'll read the law to you. And the way it works, to some degree similar with certain elections in the UK, when a court case is going on, there's no reporting. You can report from outside, but you have to say alleged, and the trial continues. And if you're an official, like a BBC journalist, then there's ways you can do that, and you'll be okay. He, I think, was working for Rebel Media, which is a Scandinavian outfit. So, online. So you're not really a journalist. You may think you're a journalist, but in the eyes of the elites, you're not a journalist. So here's the law, and here's why he was convicted, although this went very fast. Prohibition on taking photographs, etc. in court. Again, this was written in 1925. I think, when were the cameras decent enough to hang, they were portable and usable that way? Around that time? A little bit before, maybe?
I think before that, but I think when Kodak came out with the Brownie is when it really happened. But before, but people were taking photos in the 1850s.
Oh, sure. But I mean, I'll read the law. No person shall take or attempt to take in any court any photograph or with a view to publication, make or attempt to make in any court any portrait or sketch of any person, being a judge of the court or a juror or a witness in a party to any proceedings before the court, whether civil or criminal, or publish any photograph, portrait, or sketch taken or made in contravention of the foregoing provisions of this section or any reproduction thereof. And if any person acts in contravention of this section, he shall, on summary conviction, be liable in respect of each offense to a fine not exceeding £50. But for the purposes of this section, a photograph, portrait, or sketch shall be deemed to be a photograph, portrait, or sketch taken or made in court if it is taken or made in the court, in the courtroom, in the building, or in the precinct of the building in which the court is held, which I think is where he went wrong. Or if it is a photograph, portrait, or sketch taken or made of the person while he's entering or leaving the courtroom. So that's a typical perp walk like Harvey Weinstein did. That in America is legal. In the UK, that apparently is not legal. And that's why they threw him in jail. But then to throw a D notice on top of it is really covering up an important story that's taking place. That, the interwebs are filled with it. So it's a weird moment where there's zero reporting on it, and I haven't seen much here in the U.S. either, or anywhere for that matter, except online, non-official,
online, the Twitters.
Yeah, tweeters. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's onerous over there. Onerous.
It really is, and it's disturbing.
Well, there were some good front pages. The Sun and the Mirror and a few others had all these pictures of really homely-looking Pakistanis with. So they are reporting on headlines.
Okay, so they do continue to report on that. That's good.
Yeah, they're doing that, but they're not talking about this guy, except on the tweeters.
Yeah. So the message is being controlled, though. That's for sure. And it was, I encourage you, the couple of links in the show notes, nashownotes.com, and take a look under the Tommy Robinson heading. He's an interesting fellow when you listen to him. He's certainly not, he messed up on this one. You should know about your 1925 law, but maybe Gitmo Nation East citizens would change that so you can get a little more transparency in your universe there. I know. What am I thinking? Crazy. Richard Engel, speaking of transparency, where did he work at? Was he at NBC?
He's NBC.
Still NBC? Well, he was at Council on Foreign Relations.
Of course he was. He's on the...
He's a member. He's a member of the... But he was leading a discussion group, and there were some questions that came up about propaganda. And propaganda, you have to understand, only works if it's from the government. And here's what he had to say about the topic.
So there's another word for master narratives. It's called history. Basically, every country creates their own narrative story. And you know, my old job at the State Department was what people used to joke as the chief propagandist job. We haven't talked about propaganda. Propaganda, I'm not against propaganda. Every country does it, and they have to do it to their own population. And I don't necessarily think it's that awful. And this idea of
he doesn't think it's that awful.
This is Richard Engel?
Yes.
Doesn't sound like him at all.
Yeah, it's him. Richard Engel was at the State Department, wasn't he?
Not that I know of.
Really?
Let me take a look.
Well, I'll continue to play. I'm pretty sure.
It's interesting. It just doesn't sound like him at all.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Job. We haven't talked about propaganda. Propaganda, I'm not against propaganda. Every country does it, and they have to do it to their own population. And I don't necessarily think it's that awful. And this idea of a news cartel. I mean, I was editor of Time in 2012 during that election, and I remember, you know, you're competing against cartels and everybody. I remember being on a panel with the then editor of the New York Times, who said it's really hard to break through these days. This is the editor of the New York Times saying it's hard to break through. I wanted to jump off the platform. Like, what's it like for the rest of everybody? So, I mean, there are cartels, but cartels don't have hegemony like they used to.
The good old days.
And there's no note that he's ever been even worked for Time magazine.
Then maybe whoever this Richard Engel was, he was former editor of Time magazine.
Let's take a look.
Which is okay, because this makes the story just as good.
I think I know who this guy is, but it's not Richard Engel, but it's one of the guys who became... Well, anyway, keep playing. It's a good clip.
No, that's it. That was the clip. That's what he had. He's not against it, and it's very strong. And even when he was at Time magazine, they couldn't break through the propaganda. It was just a clarifying moment.
You got me looking this up now.
What are you looking up?
Editors of Time magazine.
Okay.
I think I know who this is. It's because from his voice. Anyway, okay. Yeah, you can't break the problem. Of course you can. That's all we do on this show is try to do that, and it's it's just over and over again. You just keep hearing the same nonsense. It's getting worse, by the way. They've upped the ante on a couple of these memes, especially the Russian memes. Okay,
I have a question about. Well, do you have any clips? Any Russian clips? Russian meme clips?
Not off the. I'm not ready to go. No.
I have a question. Let me see if I can frame this. So, the collusion resulted in the election being thrown, correct? Then
thrown.
Well, no. The election going to Donald Trump. And if you listen to James Clapper, former director of national intelligence, it really came down to only 80,000 votes in Wisconsin. In
3 states.
It's 3 states. That's the story. I don't understand, and this was triggered by a note from one of our producers, Daniel Griffin. If the face bag ads truly influence the election, that would mean... I love
those ads, by the way.
That would mean, because that's what we're still talking about. We're still talking about the ads, they say we're seen by, now it's 120 million people. I like the metrics. We should really consider advertising on
believe me,
FaceBag.
I'm thinking about it.
If you can get for $100,000, although I think it was more like 40, but let's just keep it at the $100,000.
Well, let's think 40.
Whatever. Let's take whatever it was. You can reach 129 million people. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So, but the way our election works is the Electoral College, which is really, 538 people? They are the ones that vote the president in, and they are the ones who, even though they are expected to vote what the constituency voted, they don't have to. Historically, they certainly have not always. And in this election, a lot were saying they certainly were not going to. In fact, I think there were a couple states where it was clear that the Electoral College, or parts of it, really went against what the constituents had voted for. So let's just presume it's true. I would like a psychological examination of a small number of people, 538. They're the ones that voted. They're the ones that determine. That's why we have that system in place, is in case it's a madman, we can
or
then,
a mad woman.
or mad woman, we can then change the outcome. Am I thinking too logical here, or because 80,000 votes?
I don't think you're thinking illogical. I'm just like to know what the point you're trying to make.
The point is, we're all just believing in. Oh, okay, fine. 3 states, 80,000 votes. But if there was truly an influence from this campaign, would that not have had to influence these 538 people?
It depends on whether they're Facebook users.
Yes, but I'd like to know. That's the point. That's actually an excellent point. What if half of them aren't FaceBag users?
Well, I think that this is a trap. And I think that this guy, this Clapper character, is really he's the subversive in the audience, and saying stuff like this is very incredibly subversive and is keeping the pot boiling. Should be ashamed of himself.
I don't think he.
I'd say the same thing with Brennan.
I don't think he gives a well. Brennan is really off the rails. He's going on every MSNBC show.
MSNBC. I like this.
MSNBC.
I thought I knew Rachel was taking over the place, but
MSNBC. Yes. Yeah, he's going on Andrea Mitchell, middays. Hey, Andrea. Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. That's not a spy. I looked it up. I looked up what the difference between a confidential informant and a spy. And even the Book of Knowledge, cancel. Even the Wikipedia version, an informer is a person who provides privileged information about a person or organization to an agency. The term is usually used within the law enforcement world, where they are officially known as confidential or criminal informants, and can often refer pejoratively to the supply of information without consent of the other parties with the intent of malicious personal or financial gain. So,
spy.
Exactly, spy. That we've gotten down to the semantic conversation of, I wasn't a spy, is mind-boggling. We truly live within. Have you seen this? The remake of 451 Fahrenheit?
I was looking at the list of movies that are floating around. I think it was on Rotten Tomatoes or somewhere, and I saw that, and I remember people talking about it not being nearly as good as the original, which I always thought was a very good movie. I thought it was well executed. And I do think that Bradbury had something to do with the movie, the first one. And everyone, they were panning this as a piece of crap.
Oh.
So the answer to your question is no, I have not seen it.
Ah, okay. Well, we watched it. Tina watched the whole thing. I fell asleep kind of 3/4 through it. But what I saw, I liked.
Not a good sign.
I did like the premise. I like how they set it up. The Big Brother, which is in essence, everyone has a talking tube. It's the premise is pretty much the same. Although it was. You got to see the original. Go back and you and Tina should both watch the original. Which, of course, because it's older, it's not going to be not as much CGI, and it's not moving as fast. But I think it's a much better film.
Well, I mean, I didn't see the new one, so I can't say that, but it's a good movie. Let's put it that way.
Well, what is well done with this new one is it's only visually a little bit different from the times we live in right now, just a little bit. The displays are on the buildings, and but they're still doing the equivalent of streaming stuff live from body cams, and the cops who are out to burn books. In case you didn't know the premise. Burning books in general. I mean, all of these things, very, very possible, kind of happening now. My favorite was the talking tubes. You got one everywhere. You tell it to go dark, and it shuts down, but it's not really shut down. And it's seeping in. It's really seeping in this. And I think I have some standing when it comes to talking tubes. If you recall, was it 3 years ago I was the first to use one, and everyone was you, of course, have always mocked me for it, but I said that if this had an Apple logo, people would love it. You do, yeah. Okay. So that was, and I've done some tinkering, so I know how these things work. But here's Joe and Mika.
Yesterday on Twitter, Trump called on China to continue to, quote, be strong and tight on the border of North Korea until a deal is made. Adding, quote, the word is that recently the border has become much more porous and more has been filtering in. I want this to happen and North Korea to be very successful, but only after signing. Yikes.
All right.
Peter Baker.
Yeah, Peter Baker.
I'm frightened by his tweets on North Korea at this point. Shouldn't we be?
I don't know.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Now listen closely.
Seriously? I mean, it's every day. It's constant.
It's like a drunk driver.
I would actually, look at this. For some reason, Siri, it's a deep state.
Your phone
I'll just be
starts
talking.
recording.
Seriously? And it only happens when I start saying things I'd never want anybody to hear.
Exactly.
And then it will just write down. It'll Siri will write it
starts
all down.
recording like nobody was touching it.
Uh-oh.
That's weird.
Nostrovia.
So it's not weird because I clearly heard him say surely, something like that, and I heard the trigger beep. These are all of the unintended consequences of technology when this stuff starts happening. And this is the story that everyone was emailing and tweeting about.
When Danielle in Portland shared her story with us, she was hoping Amazon would fix a major problem, which somehow enabled her Amazon Echo to record a private conversation inside her home, randomly pick a person out of her contacts, and send that information to that person's phone in Seattle.
They have absolutely no right to listen and record my conversations and randomly send them to people in my address book. I mean, it's unheard of.
Today, Amazon released this detailed explanation. Quote, Echo woke up due to a word in background conversation sounding like Alexa. Then the subsequent conversation was heard as send message request, at which point Alexa said out loud, to whom? At which point the background conversation was interpreted as a name in the customer's contact list. Alexa then asked out loud the contact name, right? Alexa then interpreted background conversation as right. As unlikely as this string of events is, we are evaluating options to make this case even less likely. What could Amazon say to you that would satisfy you at this point?
We apologize for this, and we are willing to show you that it actually means something to us what you went through. And if you want to stop using our devices, here's reimbursement for everything you've spent.
Late today, Amazon sent Danielle an email telling her they've accepted her request to return her Echo Dots for a refund if she ships them all back.
So that's the story, and it's presented completely incorrectly. Like, they're listening without my consent. How can they send these messages? And where we know that this creep factor started just about a month ago when I just said, call Tina, and the thing called her because they introduced some new capability, and they're getting your contact list from somewhere. We haven't really even figured out where they're getting it from. And just like you heard with Joe and Mika, these things get triggered all the time. And now that I've been rooting around in this open source stuff, I understand how it works. It's skip logic to the extreme. Every version of it is. It's artificial interpretation. Every version of the way you could say something, no matter how your sentence structure is, it's pretty much laid out inside the code. So it's just looking to see if it can trip that combination. And if you're having a conversation with someone and you say, surely you didn't send him a message, that could be enough to trigger Siri. Maybe they had echo as the wake word or, whatever it was. if it was Alexa or not. But these things get triggered all the time. It's not like Amazon is spying on you, but look at the capability. Look at what it actually can do. These things are very evil, I have to say. If it's connected to anything but your own home, it's evil.
What did I say about this when you first?
No, I'm not arguing.
In love with
I'm
this
not
device?
arguing. I'm not arguing. I still think voice input is a great way to go. But if you don't have full control of it, you stop. Just stop. And it's this is I'm Ted pilling you now.
What are you going to do about setting a timer, man?
Exactly. What are we going to do about it? I changed our guy's voice, by the way. Yeah, here. Let me see if it works.
I am the book of knowledge. Siri is a whore.
Yeah, okay, it still works.
Yeah, it sounds like he sounds like a creep.
He is a creep. Yeah, I'm nothing to demo today.
I am a creep.
I'm working on making it better, useful for the show. It's completely unusable right now, but we're getting there.
So there was a very interesting point that was being made on Meet the Press, not this last week, but the week before, I think. And it was this is in relation to Clapper and his claim that the Russians are running the place.
No, they hacked the election.
It's the change in the demographics. They want to get I think it's in the best interest of the elites on the coasts to get this particular meme busted that, that's the coast and the flyovers and all the rest of it. And this actually is a pretty good point. This is within the state of Pennsylvania. What's his name? The guy who runs Todd Chuck.
Yeah, Todd Gregory?
No, it's Todd. His name, if you look at him, he's totally a Todd.
Okay, Todd,
so
yes.
It's got to be Todd Chuck.
Okay.
He makes a very good point here, and this is the point that people like Clapper, and I think the Democrats have got to be freaked out about, is that the Democrats, which we've been promoting this idea for a long time, are the elites. They're the ones who, that's the DuPonts, the Hearsts, all these huge,
most of the billionaires are Democrats. Yep.
All the people in Silicon Valley, these guys, most of them are billionaires, and they're all in with the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to, and that's the real demographic situation that they found themselves in, and that's why they have to appeal to immigrants to get enough votes, because there's not really enough billionaires to vote them into anything.
And if you believe the narrative, the reason they want immigrants and to come in illegally and not be documented and vote is the Black American community is they've given up on them. They're not worth it anymore.
Well, they always expect to get if the blacks are going to vote, which is always an issue, they will vote Democrat in droves. So they don't really need to even deal with them, because it's just it's either they're not voting or it's an automatic vote for us. So, the community, some people within the black community are waking up to the fact that they're just being
played.
They're being played.
Abused is the term.
They're abused. But this is a very good piece about these two counties, Schuylkill, whatever it's called, and Chester County, a very rich county and a very poor county within the state of Pennsylvania.
And the numbers tell the story of these two counties. 50% of Chester has a bachelor's degree. That number is 15% in Schuylkill. The median listing price for a home in Chester is $380,000 compared to $75,000 in Schuylkill. And the median household income is $89,000 a year in Chester versus $47,000 a year in Schuylkill. And these two counties represent the changing dynamics of American politics. Republicans are losing their grip on wealthier places like Chester County. Mitt Romney narrowly beat Barack Obama there back in 2012, but Hillary Clinton won by 9 points over Donald Trump in 2016. The working class of Schuylkill are bolting the Democratic Party these days. Yes, Romney won by a comfortable 13-point margin, but Trump won by a whopping 43 points. Before that, Schuylkill had actually voted for a Democrat as recently as 1996, and the Democrat's name was Clinton. Since the 2016 election, many folks have tried to stereotype the coasts as the place is living in their own bubbles. But when you dig into these numbers, there are blue and red bubbles all across the country. Chester and Schuylkill are two of these such bubbles, and finding common ground between them, less than 100 miles away from each other, is growing increasingly difficult.
Okay.
So I went and started looking. Think about the home prices. It's like $350,000 median compared to $75,000 median. So I went shopping.
Wait, did you go shopping in the great state of California?
No, I went shopping in Pennsylvania. I got my Google car, drove around, and I also went on Zillow, and I went all over the place. What you can get a house for, and that's not Schuylkill or whatever they call it, is not even the best case scenario. There are some towns and counties in Pennsylvania that, excuse me, are extremely off the deep end because they're one of these, like Mont Carmel, for example, a very cute little kind of a residential community in half-dead downtown area. There's a place for sale there. It's 26 bedrooms. It was actually a convent that's been turned into a single-family dwelling. It's available for $18,000.
Wow.
And so I'm looking, and there's a lot of places available for $16,000, $17,000.
Whoa, stop. This sounds like an investment opportunity.
Well, I'm looking at it as, well, you have to look at it from two ways.
Call Natalie. Call Natalie Del Conte. Morris Invest.
Nobody gets that, but us.
Okay.
Somebody will. Now, the point is that this particular town, which is and I looked at many an area, was a town that was founded on the fact that they found an anthracite mine nearby in the 1800s, and it became like this insta town to mine this high quality coal, and that died off, and so now the town is just kind of struggling to maintain itself as a lower middle class area, which is not a big deal one way or the other, but you can really, if you're retired or something where you have a fixed income, this is where you move. Not that you want to fill up the place with old retirees, but it's pretty astonishing the difference in these areas. And Pennsylvania is the best case scenario. Now, a lot of the towns, in fact, I would say this one, Mont Carmel, has a lot of Polish. So comic strip bloggers should be happy about that, because Pennsylvania is a huge Polish state, which would make me feel right at home. It's just interesting to see the discrepancies that go on around here, and it's always you wonder why Trump is getting all these voters, and I don't think it's going to let up especially by 2020, because this country is getting more and more and more people that fall into that poor or working poor,
yes.
And poor and middle class and lower middle class, and even to the upper middle class is still, that's growing. That's not shrinking. Yes. And so losing the rich in terms of your political base by the Republicans and gaining these people, you're going to be in office forever.
Yeah. I don't think they see that, John. I really don't.
That report really made it clear. And then if you go in your Google car and start driving around these areas, especially in Pennsylvania, I'm stunned that it would go. It's never. I doubt it'll ever in the presidential election. I really doubt it'll ever see another Democrat.
Really?
It's just not going to. Who's going to do it? I mean, it's just no. It's not going to happen. Anyway, my thoughts on the demographics of the United States of America. Thank you.
What is the square foot price in California for a new build these days?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's not low.
But you know what they're talking about in Austin? This is from the banker.
It's probably about the same.
$900 a square foot.
Oh, that's pretty high.
That is outrageous.
A square foot.
$900 a square foot is what they think to get for some of these new places that are going up downtown. Either it'll work, and it'll be like New York was, until the real estate crash. I already know there's tons of condos that are just empty, just investment properties. Or, maybe we'll become like one of those ghost towns in China. We're just big, beautiful, empty buildings. I cannot believe there's not enough work here for that kind of price. So it can't be for the people here.
I don't know who it's for then. And San Francisco's got those two big skyscrapers near the bridge, the Tower of Death and that other one.
Yeah.
And those are, when you go in, if you're in the city at night, you look up there and at 8:30 in the evening when it's dark or getting dark, or let's say 9 o'clock, there's no lights on.
They can't afford it.
It's like two places in this huge building.
Is that the Tower of Doom?
Yeah, the Tower of Doom.
Which was being built when I had my place there?
Yeah.
Oh, that thing.
There's no lights on. There's a light here. There's a light there. Maybe there's 20 people living in the place, and the rest of them, they're all sold out, so somebody owns them.
Something's
amiss.
Not right in California.
That's right. Something's just not right in California. There's something very wrong. There's something.
Well, Austin is the California of the Texas.
We're California of the rest. Let's see. There was this story from your neck of the woods. This was disturbing.
Thursday morning, Linda Kwan headed to the Dublin BART station and boarded a San Francisco-bound train for work. 30 minutes into the ride, the San Ramon mother of two felt something pierce her behind.
When I felt that, I got up and I looked at what was poking me, and when I my fingers felt it, and I actually held it because I didn't know what it was. I just kind of touched it, and it was a syringe tip.
This is the broken tip of the hypodermic needle Kwan sat on. When she looked under the seat, she found even more drug paraphernalia. Now she wonders why BART isn't doing more to prevent this from happening.
It's people's lives and people's safety. So, one puncture like that could change the rest of my life if I'm infected.
Anecdotally from the police department, what I'm told is they have reports similar to this once or twice a month. As far as we're concerned, that's 1 or 2 times a month too many. This is a serious concern, and this is something that BART needs to address and is addressing with the resources that we have.
BART says they've hired more police officers. They're redeploying train cleaners so BART cars get cleaned more often during the day, and they're working with police to address the homeless issue.
They're not doing enough, for sure, or this would not have happened.
After reporting the incident to the train operator and to BART police, Kwan was tested for HIV and hepatitis. Now she's on a month's supply of drugs to prevent contracting HIV. She's getting the hepatitis vaccine, and she must get her blood tested every 3 months for the next year and a half, just in case she was infected with something from this needle.
Lawsuit.
So this happens a couple of times a week? A month?
Or a week, maybe a couple times a week.
Who knows? Probably not report. Who knows? But also, was there ever an announcement that we've kind of solved AIDS?
Kind of is the operative word.
Yeah. Well, there's all these, what do they call them? PrEP? I think they call them. It's PrEP. We've talked about it a lot. That is now seen as the end-all, be-all. As long as you're taking PrEP, you apparently cannot even get infected.
Yeah, supposedly.
There was just, I don't know. It feels like that the way that was reported was so offhanded. Oh, she's taking some meds to make sure she doesn't get HIV. Oh, okay. There was just never really a big announcement about that.
Well, I find this just ridiculous. What does it take to keep, these cars have fake TV cameras in them, or these CCTV cameras are bullcrap.
I think you nailed it with fake. That's exactly right.
Fake.
Just to make you feel good.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing. I mean, it's like we reported on re-reported the issue with the Civic Street Station, and all these drug users lined up and said, well, gee, they understand the police. They come in at 8, and so they're here at 7, and then they leave at come back at 8:30. Yeah. When meanwhile, they had the cameras all over that thing. The cops know that they're there.
Yeah, they're just not doing anything. They don't know what to do with them. They have no laws on the books. It's gotten much worse in Austin. Again, the old, the 35, underneath the 35 highway. It's mayhem. Tina's daughter, she's with us for the summer, and the last time she was here was last summer. She says it's doubled. It is.
You don't notice it when you're there.
Yeah. Oh no, it's like you're being boiled like a lobster. You don't really notice it. And the former New York banker had, he said, yeah, it's getting pretty bad. He says, the problem was we don't have laws against sleeping on the street, which sounds kind of coarse, which is, I think, why we don't have it. But, if you have no law against sleeping in public places, then it won't change.
Yes.
As far as I can tell, you need some additional regulation, of course.
Well, those are very liberal areas, and they're all, they all feel good kinds of, we can't do that. It would hurt someone's feelings and these poor people.
Yeah.
And you have all those, and I think they're all justified, but it's not helping anything. Something else has to be done. For one thing, maybe solving the problem, the underlying problem, that might be useful.
Oh, please.
I mean, you have all these guys talking big game about one thing or another, but they don't want to do anything about poverty.
No.
Bill Gates is a good example. Let's vaccinate everybody in Africa, but no, not a nickel toward, solving the issue of poverty.
Well, seeing as he's using some of those old Clinton Foundation expired drugs from India, he's probably solving the problem. By killing people.
In Africa.
Yeah, by killing people.
So while you're on BART, I do have my BART story. I want to see if you can catch the operative little piece of information in here. This is the new BART line. The BART's getting extended, and they extended this line out to the middle of nowhere, Antioch, which is in the middle of nowhere, more or less, in the Bay Area. And there's an operative little piece of information in here. I want to see if you catch it.
The new BART line extends the transit system 10 miles further into the East Bay to Antioch.
People in eastern Contra Costa County have been waiting for a rail extension for a long, long time. So there was so much excitement.
Unlike the rest of the transit system, the new line runs on biodiesel, not electricity, a compromise that cut the cost in half of the $525 million project.
Anytime you can get out of the stress of traffic, you want to do that.
Driving from Sacramento into San Francisco, Shauna Espinosa thinks the new line will be a big time saver.
Normally when I would want to travel to San Francisco, I don't drive in San Francisco, so I would go to the Concord station and then take the BART in. When I knew that this one was open, I decided to try this one out.
I really don't know what you don't like.
So here's what they say. Instead of using the third of the electric rail system, they cut costs in half by running this thing on diesel.
On biodiesel.
Yeah, they call it biodiesel, but it's diesel.
Right.
Biodiesel is diesel. But they cut it in half. So in other words, all this electrified train, these trains all over the place with the third rail and all the rest, cost twice as much.
Yeah.
Than a good old-fashioned diesel. Now, I was thinking about this, and I realized that, well, why didn't everyone just use this? Well, yeah, you could if everything was above ground.
Wait a minute. You're not even allowed to drive a diesel car in California anymore, are you? Or you can't buy a new one?
That's bullshit. You can drive diesel.
Can you buy a new one?
They went to the low-sulfur diesel.
All right. So
biodiesel, you just use it. You just get an adaptation.
Right. And biodiesel emits water vapor.
It smells like French fries.
Smells like French fries. I had a vehicle, yeah.
Now, anyway, the point is, though, is that, if it's a subway, you really can't use
that could be problematic. Yeah, it could be.
But if it's above ground, which this little extension is, and I think all the extensions will be, there's no reason to use the electric stuff anymore. It's just a waste of money. And I have to say that's got to be a fractal of some sort for cars. Unless you're in a tunnel all the time, which you're not.
Well, may I remind you then of the history of the electric vehicle in the 1880s, late 1880s, 89. People were driving around with battery cars, and they functioned quite well. They were, they didn't go very far because you had to recharge, but they had certainly replaced the horse, or were moving the horse out of the way. And then when the combustion engine came along, people said, "Wait a minute, the cost and the power to weight ratio, I guess is what it is incredibly efficient." And battery technology has improved, but it hasn't made the leaps and bounds that we need, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
And I got
an incremental.
Very incremental. I mean, these Tesla batteries are, there's just a whole bunch of double A's in there. Or, I mean, it's true. There's a whole bunch of
little bigger than a double A.
but they're little cells.
Yeah.
I got an education on the new hybrids, though. I just go back to the banker again. He picked me up. So he got rid of the Tesla and he bought a Mini.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He was a big fan of the Tesla.
Nah, he wised up. And I think that's why he's all pissed off and doing complicated trades to try and screw him. You made me look bad in front of Curry. Now I got to screw you. But he has one of those new Mini hybrids. And I kind of like the way they're doing it. It's not, and maybe this is the way hybrid cars work. I just didn't understand. But this thing, it has 3 cylinders. Very, I don't know. It makes like 150 cc's. It's a very small engine, but it has the hybrid part for the acceleration, which makes total sense. If you just want to, move a little faster in traffic, overtake somebody, then you get these very high-powered electromotors kick in, and they can really give you a boost. The problem is you need a lot of battery, and you're not carrying around a big battery in this hybrid, so you can only use it so much. But that kind of makes up for the lack of power that the combustion engine has. I think that's a pretty valid use, and you're generating it on board. You're not plugging it in at night.
Yeah, that's pretty much the way they all work.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of for that.
The motor, the gasoline engine in a Prius is. I didn't realize this is something like that. It's like some screwball motor that is not even a normal.
In the Prius, in the new Prius,
all of them.
Uh-huh.
They've got some screwball, like very weird motor that is. It's low horsepower, but it's pretty much what you said.
Well, and the Mini also,
when you're on the freeway, they work great.
So the Mini has the turbo, the boost from the electromotors, and then it also has a turbo charger on 3 cylinders.
Oh,
yeah, so
that's pretty cool.
It had some punch, I'll tell you. I mean, you won't get laid.
So wait a minute. So the banker, instead of driving the luxurious Tesla, is now driving around a Mini Cooper?
Yeah. Well, I think that's what he wants his wife to drive, but she took the Porsche.
So he got stuck with the Mini Cooper.
Yeah, something like that. And he was like, "Oh," he texted me, "I'll pick you up in the Mini." He says,
"You should have. Why don't you tell him to get that that EV1 with that low slung BMW hot rod?"
Oh yeah, of course. That's what I told him to get in the first place. And then he was talking about the i3. I said, there's one thing if you're already married and you don't want to get laid. It's another thing to make that public and drive around in one of those things. That's zero sex appeal. Well, anyway, I was pleasantly surprised by that part of it. But yeah, you're right. It's inefficient. Doesn't seem to work. We're all goo goo gaga over it. Yeah.
Well, we'll see where this ends up. So I got corrected by one of our producers who was snotty and says that he says Fisker did the first. They never used any Fisker ideas at Tesla. They used this Hans character who's still there and was the designer. And I've been looking into it, and I haven't made. I have to now do an interview with Fisker to find out what the story is, because they did part company before the S came out.
Do you think you can do that before Thursday? Since we
no
wishful thinking, we're doing a best of on Thursday.
We're doing our last of the. The thing is that Adam has to do something on Thursday, and we have one Ramsey Kane best of left in the archive.
Yeah, that's it.
And he has moved on. He doesn't have the position he once had at this company where they encouraged him to do stuff like this because they had the time to do it. And now he won't be able to do any more.
He got a real job.
He got a real job in the company he was working for.
Yeah, he actually has some responsibility.
He won't be able to do this anymore. So that was the end. This will be the last Ramsey Kane production that we'll ever have on the show.
Which is kind of cool. I mean,
it's kind of cool, but it's kind of a disappointment because he always could give us a couple of these every couple of years.
Right.
And we could use them in emergencies or whenever we needed them.
Yeah.
And that's the end of an era. So we're going to do that.
Yes. And if anyone has any other ideas,
if anybody else wants to pick up the cudgel.
Yeah, we're happy about that. And also, we got to do some more. I'll probably do it. I don't think I can get it all organized for Thursday to get another Pachanik thing, because that might be cool. Just to hear what he's saying about Spygate. I'll try. But, I got to get someone there with a mic, and he can't, he's tech illiterate. He can't do any of that.
Most people seem to be. Most people that would be good interviews don't seem to have a clue.
Yeah.
They can't get on Skype.
Yeah.
They don't know what a mic is.
Barely know how to talk into it.
Yeah, won't talk into it. Won't talk into it correctly.
Yeah. So that is for Thursday. If you want to help out, please let us know. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you for your courage. Say in the morning to you, John C. C stands for Clean Diesel Dvorak.
Clean Diesel. In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning, all the ships in the sea, and the boots in the air, and the gun, and the subs in the water, and the dames and the nights out there.
Yes, in the morning to the troll room, noagendastream.com. That's where we got a chat room on that page. You can listen live as we do the show live, and it always is pretty much live to tape. Also, I would like to say in the morning to Comic Strip Blogger. He does it again. He's on a roll. He's making pretty art. Did the artwork for episode 1036. The title of that was Breaking Algos. Not Breaking Algos, but Breaking Algos. And he uploaded this to noagendaartgenerator.com. It was it was Pravda spelled in Russian with the Tesla logo, Russified. It was just a pretty piece.
Yeah, it stood out.
And we actually, we had to, I'll be transparent about it. We're like, oh man, it's Comic Strip Blogger again.
No, that was you. I said, hey, there's Comic Strip Blogger again. That's great.
Yes. And I went, if we don't choose it, he'll be, you only chose it because it was me. You didn't choose it because it was me, because it was the best piece. There's no doubt about it. So, there you go. Step it up, people. He's kicking your ass. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Thank you, Comic Strip Blogger. Beautiful piece. We appreciate the work all of our artists do. This is our value for value model, where you just support us with whatever you think equals the value that you got out of the show. And people have been. Now, we had something we haven't done in a while. We had a vote. We had a vote on the newsletter.
Right, and this vote will continue. Will be tallied up. I'll get some indication in this show, but
explain the voting process. Our No Agenda.
Nobody who listens to. There's a lot of people that don't get the newsletter, thousands, and so now I introduced the idea. If you add 37 cents, and this is because of show 1037, if you add 37 cents to any donation, from $1 to $1,000, $1,000 preferred, that means you think the show is great and should continue for as long as we can manage it. And if you add 37 cents instead for show 37, 38 cents means we should continue. 37 cents. I'm sorry. Let's get this straight.
You're making it worse than it was.
I'm making it worse. All right. Okay. Here's the question is the show outlived its usefulness?
And to stop for a second, because when that came through, I like the idea of voting. I like the idea of always testing us. But is there something you want to tell me? Are you feeling that we've outlived our usefulness?
I thought that some people. I'm just going by the notes we get.
Okay.
So I wanted to know what people thought. Is the show outlived its usefulness? Because it's a show that has usefulness. And it's 37 cents says yes, get off the air. Well, and 38 cents says no, stay.
Okay. How did we do?
Well, we have mostly 38s. There's a lot of 37s, and including one guy sent me a lot of notes came in. They didn't even want to send them money. They just wanted to grouse over the email saying, yeah, you stink. Ever since, my favorite one is this guy. Just paraphrase. Yeah, ever since you guys became Trump apologists, the show has gone downhill. So I looked him up, and he actually quit the mailing list and kind of quit on the show in 2015 before Trump even came along.
Oh, he's a Reddit. He's one of those guys from the Reddit.
Yeah, probably.
Who at this point are libelous.
Oh, well, we should sue somebody. That'd be great.
There was someone brought it because, of course, people love bringing posts to my attention. Typically, if I see the Reddit URL, I won't click on it because I have other things to do. But this one was Adam Curry is a racist, misogynist, Nazi. Like, it's like, you can take it a little too far.
Well, that's borderline in terms of libelous. I'm not sure.
They should at least say allegedly.
Well, allegedly. So we start off with Ray Martin with $369.38. So he's a yes.
Yeah, yes, he's a yes man.
He's not only a yes man, but he's a good yes man because he came in as an associate or as an executive producer. I've recently been traveling and listening with my piping hot, scrumptious wife, and she has been enjoying the show now more than ever before.
They usually do, those piping hot, scrumptious ones.
And then he says...
Me as well, he says.
He too. Yes, the show is relevant and needed. We get a lot of that. Hopefully, you all have the energy and listener appreciation to go on. That's the part that I needed to
hear.
I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Because we got energy.
Yeah.
two guys our age.
for two guys. Hey, speak for yourself. I'm still a young man.
Layron of Circletown. That's Ray. Layron. There's a Ray something there. Anyway, 369.38. Michael Harrington, 367 from Babb, Montana. Babb, B-A-B-B-B-B. I would like to be known. He's got no vote. So no vote for him. I would like to be known as Sir. He's got a knighthood coming up.
Nice.
Sir Backcountry Ranger. We had a lot of nice today. I just transferred from the Grand Canyon National Park to Glacier in Montana, where I worked as a backcountry ranger in the Mini Glacier Subdistrict. That's Mini Glacier. It's what it's called. It's the name of the subdistrict. One of my primary duties is bear. What's your duty, sir? Bear management. Which
means something different in Austin.
Which includes hazing habituated grizzlies by shooting them with rubber bullets and beanbag rounds fired from a 12-gauge shotgun. I'm living the dream.
Can we come and hang out? That sounds like fun, actually.
Hazing habituated grizzlies.
Fantastic. What? No, a back county ranger. I bet you know some good spots in Montana to go camp, hang out, smoke some weed.
I don't know. Is weed illegal in Montana? I don't think so. I would like to give a shout out to Ben Gardner, who contributed $100 toward my knighthoods last fall.
Huh.
Ben was the only producer to take me up on my offer to stay at my apartment in the South Rim for free. Wow.
Yeah, I remember that.
I've moved along. I'm sort of ITG here in what I have.
I think he means OTG. That must be a slip of the keyboard.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's what he means too. I'm sort of OTG here in that I have no cell service, landline cable, and can't even pick up a single radio station. So, hell yeah, he says.
How does he pick up the show?
He downloads it.
Yeah, but if he has no cell service, landline cable, and no radio, does he do that at home or?
He must commute to some area where he can download.
Huh.
Keep up the good work. The shows have been phenomenal as usual, but please remove the funeral jazz background music as you close out the show. It creeps me out.
Really?
He's the only one who's ever complained about it. We've had other people ask what it is.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little piece. People actually like this. You know what I think it is? Whenever he hears the music, he gets triggered because he knows the show's over.
That's a possibility, but it's not. We should mention to him and others that the show's not really over when you hear that music.
Thank you. We still have at least
two. The show has a number of highly produced in many cases, satirical music bits and ditties that sometimes go on for 5 or 6 minutes.
And today we have Danny Luce, also Tom Starkweather's girlfriend, Alexandra, did a mix for us.
Nice.
Yeah. Chicks, man.
I'm about 25 miles from the Canadian border, but I can't sense their swagger from here. So that's Michael Harrington
All right, Michael. Thank you. We'll look forward to your ceremony later on in the program.
I'd like to go grizzly shooting. That'd be great.
Especially since you're not really killing him; you're just shooting at him.
Yeah. What if they turn on you?
Yeah,
I'm sure you got an extra bet. He probably didn't mention it, but I'm sure he's got some.
I'm sure he's
real shells.
Sure he's got in case the necessity arises. Sure.
Yeah, there's no way otherwise. Robert Alter in Kansas City, Missouri, 3:33 in the morning. I just donated over the years, or I have, and finally reached Earl status with this donation. You should put him on the upgrade list.
Yes, I'll put him on the title.
This show keeps me sane. Without it, I'm not sure what my mental state would be. I encourage everyone to give till it hurts. Love and light.
Okay, title changes, and I'll be Robert Alter becomes an Earl. Nice.
Yeah, 333. Scott Porter, $300 even. House finding and house renovation karma, please.
You've got karma.
This is a Dame Hood, anonymous, 25038. What was the foul up here? Did you get a note from? I mean, because I don't. The problem with this is that I don't have a reference in this donation. I'll dig it up. I'm sure I can find it because I remember her sending this in.
I think I have it here. Yes, I do. Dear John and Adam, this donation brings me to damehood. I'm a bankruptcy lawyer, so I'd like to be Dame Rachel, really, anonymous, debt slave emancipator. I don't know if she wants to be anonymous or not because she has this in her. Well, I guess she does want to. Oh, last name. Okay, so Dame Rachel. So it's not fully anonymous. It's just her last name. So I'm glad you.
Yeah, well, she's kind of there's a lot of Rachels. So
right, but I'm glad we looked this up because she has a whole bunch of stuff here. This donation brings me to damehood. I'm a bankruptcy lawyer. Thank you. Always good to have one in the family. So I'd like to be Dame Rachel, debt slave emancipator. The show has been a part of our family routine since my husband introduced me to it a few years ago, and we hope you'll keep it going. I'm excited to get to say NJNK because it took me at least 4 shows to figure out what it meant. And she has her accounting there. And thank you very much, Rachel. You shall become a dame today, and I will put that.
And she made it $250.38. So that's 2 yeses.
Nice.
Keep the show going. Anyway, it says, this is a good one, Tom Nonus. This is actually from Tim Nonymous. His usual is from Massachusetts, $234.56. His favorite donation. He does it about once a month. Sir Ron Driggs, $200.38. So that's another vote. You guys is smooth move with a survey genius. Any fellow producers that love the outdoors and photography, hit me up on the gram at hiker_McBeardface.
Yeah, I want to hang out with that guy. Hiker McBeardface.
And we should all meet up in Montana and shoot grizzlies.
This is a great idea.
And can you imagine like 5 guys all firing at the poor bear?
Hey, I'm sure some girls would like to come too.
I don't know. Maybe. We know one that would for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And we can coordinate our meetups in Mother Nature before she's sorry to assume a gender, gone from global warming or whatever it is that I'm doing to her. Thanks, gents. Black Knight of the Mighty 5 National Parks. I humbly request some Tinder swipe right karma.
You've got karma.
So these national park guys. Okay. Kevin McLaughlin, another $200.38, which is another vote, which is 2 more total votes. So we got 4. In Locust, North Carolina. And he has the F cancer karma from my Uncle Henry.
Huey.
No, please.
Uncle Huey.
Uncle Huey. No, please keep going. Personally, I need your analysis and deconstruction of the propaganda forced on us by those with an agenda. Thank you, Viscount of the Moon.
I had another fuck cancer thing someone sent me. Well, I'll play this one for a second.
You've got karma.
I'm trying to find what that was. It was an interesting version. I'll keep going. I'll find it.
Anonymous, $200, NJNK. Dame Patricia Worthington out of Miami, $200 even. She sent a card, which is something I've been soliciting. I like these cards. We have a wall of cards that we have.
You have a wall. Up. You have a wall of cards.
Yeah, Jay came over and said, "What do you do with all these cards? Let's put them here."
Oh, that's nice. Is that something you would be willing to take a picture of and publish, or is that too?
Yeah,
you should do that. That'd be nice. I'd like to see that.
Okay, I'll put it in the next newsletter.
Cool.
She says, and she starts her note off with, it'd be nice if I had my glasses somewhere. I don't know where they went. Great. Where are they? There they are. She says, I can read and write cursive, but it is harder to read than this printing. So she printed a note, but she wanted to make it clear that she could write. ITM from the soggy South Florida with no end in sight. They're getting whacked. I have a clip for later, or some of the stuff going on from Alberto.
Yes. A tropical storm that has a name all of a sudden.
Yeah, let's just name everything. Yeah. That way you can rack up the numbers. It pains me that people aren't showing you the appreciation that you two deserve. Oh. I can't imagine facing the daily circus without you guys. No jingles, but job karma for my daughter and relationship karma for my delightful grandson.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Was it grandma?
She finishes with...
Wait a minute. Grandma trying to hook up her grandson? Is that what's going on here?
That's what it sounds like. I need the enlightenment. Keep the enlightenment going, Pat. And by the way, P.S., I wear white at night.
What am I missing?
You missed my lecture. Apparently, you were paying no attention to it when I played those clips about 2 shows ago about all these pedestrian accidents, which have increased by 45%.
Yes, I now I remember.
And I recall driving up and down, the local streets at night, and people were wearing all black, and they just meander under the crosswalk.
Yes, that was one of our life-saving tips.
And it was a tip that I remember when I was a kid. The TV shows would always have, remember, folks, wear white at night. And they would plug this wear white at night.
Yes, I remember now.
Nobody wears white at night anymore.
No.
Racist.
Okay, fine. That is it for our executive producers and our associate executive producers. Thank you for showing the support and our value for value model. It's highly appreciated. These are real credits. They're just like Hollywood when you see those credits pop up in the beginning of the screen. That's the executive producers. This is what they do. And we could not be more appreciative of it. You can basically use the credits wherever credits are recognized. People have done that. You can join the Producers Guild if you wish. And we'll be thanking more people, $50 and above. And we continue our tally, 3738. Another show coming up on, Thursday we have our Best Of show. And we'll be announcing all of the donation notes on Sunday's show. So please go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
I think we had one more karma we needed to play here.
Tallies.
You've got karma.
And now that you've got the lowdown on that cockroach milk, go out there, propagate the formula about the reptiles.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
So what Dame Patricia was complaining about, we have the clip. I have a kind of a background on Alberto.
Yes, Alberto. Yes, it has a name.
I'm Rena Ninen. Alberto, the first named storm of the year, is slowly moving toward the Gulf Coast. The governors of Florida and Mississippi have already declared a state of emergency. The storm is just north of Cuba and not expected to make landfall until sometime Monday. But the outer bands are already starting to lash parts of southern Florida. Craig Setzer with our Miami affiliate WFOR is following the storm. Craig.
The storm is getting a bit stronger tonight as it moves to the north, and during the day on Sunday has the possibility of a further intensification reaching the North Gulf Coast here sometimes late on Monday or Monday night. But it's a big lopsided storm with a lot of the bad weather east of the track and north of the track, so the effect's going to be felt well before the center makes landfall. Wind is going to be a problem. Tropical storm force winds will be skirting the coast, the west coast of Florida, all the way up into the Panhandle and much of the northern Gulf Coast. Some of that wind will be going inland, and the other big issue with this storm, besides storm surge and the wind, it's going to be rainfall, a tremendous amount of tropical moisture heading to the north. One of these tails, this moisture tail for Alberto, will be draped across Florida, going into the Carolinas, where flooding is a possibility, and flooding also a possibility right where the center makes landfall there. Here's the forecast track, and you can see heavy rainfall amounts through parts of Florida, also parts of the Panhandle and parts of the Southeast. There's also a threat, Rena, of isolated tornadoes.
Well, I find this rather peculiar. They're treating this thing as a hurricane when it's not.
And it has a name, even though it's a
gave it a name.
subtropical storm.
They talked about the center making landfall as though it's like a hurricane making landfall, and it's not. There's nothing similar to a hurricane unless it starts spinning around.
Right.
But it's like, this is just to pad the stats.
Yeah, of the number of storms, because we don't have enough.
Yeah, we're not getting enough because we were supposed to have 1 million a month ever since Katrina, which never panned out because of global warming. So we're not getting enough. So let's every time it starts raining, let's just give it a name.
Well, let's help them out, John. Why don't you let's do a report?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
We have Adam Curry on the line. He's right in the middle of the storm. Adam, are you there?
Yes, John. As you can tell, Alberto is really picking up storm here. We can see the eye clearly. It's still a subtropical storm, but it looks like you're all going to have a very, very wet Memorial Day weekend. So the count continues. More tornadoes, more storms. Global warming is real. Back to you in the studio, John.
Wow, it looks pretty rough out there. Hey, Adam, be safe.
John, I couldn't hear you. The wind is just too much. What did you say?
Be safe, Adam. Be safe.
Yes, well, be safe. You join the studio. Back to the studio. Reporting live here in Florida. Adam Curry for the storm.
Cut the feed.
Good. I think they're all set then.
Unbelievable. So they're padding the stats. They're naming everything. I mean, it's unbelievable. Pretty soon they'll be naming, afternoon showers.
My wet fart is what they're going to be naming.
It's raining in Florida. Who ever heard of such a thing?
Like, hey, there's Pete. Hurricane Pete just came out of my butt. Exactly. I think it's just it's Memorial Day weekend. They have nothing to report on. We need something.
No, the reporting is pretty important. Let's play this. Let's play the CO2 highest levels. Let's play CO2.
The global level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has topped 400 parts per million for the longest time in recorded history. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration says the grim milestone was reached on average for the entire month of March. The 400 parts per million threshold has been an important marker in UN climate change negotiations, widely recognized as a dangerous level that could drastically worsen human-caused global warming. The environmentalist group 350.org takes its name after the 350 parts per million threshold that scientists say is the maximum atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide for a safe planet.
Yeah, those guys should have rebranded. This is the
I should mention that clip's from 4 years ago.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you screwed me over. Yeah, Sir Gene, our sheriff of Texas, he has one of those monitors, and he has two pet snakes, so he has to keep the environment a certain way in his house. But his
are they just roaming around the house?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, they don't really roam; they kind of slither. And he measures about 750 parts per million in his house. He seems to be doing okay. He's alive still. Gene seems to be healthy. He seems to
turn on the fan in the kitchen. God.
No, man, it's the snakes. It's the snakes.
Snakes.
Snakes. And they're not just little snakes either. That's a significant snake. Yeah, but then 350 guys, I'm telling you, that was 4 years ago. How come they didn't rebrand themselves to 450? No one would have known. Now they just sound like, look, you're 350, we're at 4, nothing happened. Screw you. That's what I think.
So a couple of Sundays ago, your buddy Roger Stone.
Why do you say that?
Was on the show, and he has an interesting little trick that he's played, because Todd Chuck was trying to bring out of him why he hasn't been called before Mueller. And I realized this Stone character is something of a genius. Play this Stone on Meet the Press 1.
You have not had any contact with the special counsel's office, personally.
That is correct. Now,
not your lawyer either.
That is correct.
Okay.
On the other hand, should they decide to proceed against me for some extraneous crime that I can't identify, perhaps we can get into the question raised by the New York Times on January 20th, 2017, that says I was the subject of a FISA warrant. Now, for a U.S. citizen to be subject to a FISA warrant, they have to be engaged in espionage on behalf of a foreign power. That is certainly not the case as far as I am concerned. So I'm very anxious to find out. The New York Times has never retracted that story, by the way. Okay. I'm very anxious to find out why I would have been subject to such a FISA warrant.
Well, I think one of the areas of interest apparently has to do with your communications with WikiLeaks, various tweets you have said. So let me go down that road with you. I've asked you this before, but let me ask you again here. Did you have any advanced knowledge of any kind about John Podesta's hacked emails?
See, it's still, and they're confused, but it's still all about either Russia giving Hillary's emails to Trump or some collusion with the DNC hacked emails. They still keep trying to tie that knot together, and they can't seem to find.
No, they can't do it.
What is it called? Proof. Yeah, proof. That's what they're looking for.
And Stone's got this little gambit, which he knows if they ever do anything, he can go into discovery and find out why he was put on a FISA warrant, which they don't want.
They don't want that. No, of course not.
Because the whole thing will fall apart because it's going to turn out that everything everyone has been saying is true.
A procedural question: if the FBI, if they want to take you to court, do you still get to do discovery the same way as in a civil trial?
Unless you plead.
Okay, so you have the right to full discovery, all of their information to defend your case.
As far as I know, okay. It's a regular trial at that point.
Okay.
Well, let's listen. He has a little kicker here it might be worth listening to.
John Podesta's hacked emails.
No, absolutely not. And Chuck, an honest reading of my tweet, I said, the Podestas, apostrophe S, time in the barrel. This isn't about the placement of the apostrophe. It's about the fact that in virtually every news account, the word the has been omitted. The refers to more than one person, meaning, as I have said here before, even though you want to revive this chestnut, I was referring to both Podesta brothers and the revelations in the April 2016 Panama Papers that exposed their shady business dealings in Russia. John and Tony, the Podesta.
Well,
even the final report of the House Intelligence Committee mistakenly omits the word "the" from my tweet.
Yeah, he says the Podestas, referring to the two of them.
And
you keep saying Podestas as it was one. Podesta's email. If you say the Podesta's emails or Podesta's emails.
Words do matter.
And he makes that point. I think he makes a good point of it. And Todd Chuck keeps saying, let me ask again. Maybe you'll change your answer.
That is interesting because there was and I have a clip here. It was another case of, it really depends on the context and how you're hearing what is happening at the moment and, how you can create context. Well, it belongs under the heading of Me Too.
Now it's time for your sexual harassment update.
Now, the big news that hit, I think it was show day even, which would make sense, was Morgan Freeman, God himself being accused of sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Because he plays God. He's as far as I'm concerned, he's our God. You know, he is the God of Hollywood. And the story, I didn't realize this, the story broke because of two CNN reporters, both women. I believe one, if not both, are entertainment reporters. And they went on Don Lemon, who, as you know, is the overnight sensation on CNN.
Yeah, he is.
And who knows Morgan personally and in social circles and professionally. And they explained what happened. And also their own experience, why they started looking into this. But when you hear her explanation, wow, it's exactly like, the apostrophe is not in the right place. Did I hear it right? Was it the right context? But this gives you a little background. It's a little long, but I found it to be very interesting.
Many people are surprised by what our investigation has uncovered. It was months in the making with Ann and I, and 16 people agreed to share their stories with CNN. Several of them said that Freeman made constant comments about their bodies and clothing choices. 8 said that they were victims of harassment or inappropriate behavior. And on 2 of those 8 said that they were subjected to unwanted touching by Freeman. And, I want to share some of those stories with you. One woman who was a production assistant on the movie Going in Style said that while filming it in 2015, Dawn, that Freeman subjected her to unwanted touching of her lower back and comments about her figure on a near daily basis. In one incident, Dawn, she says that Freeman actually attempted to try to lift her skirt and asked her if she was wearing underwear. She claims that this alleged incident actually took place in front of his co-star in the movie, Alan Arkin. We tried to reach Arkin for comment, and he couldn't be reached.
Wow. I mean, who does that?
Some guy's 89, maybe.
I don't think he's 89.
How old is he? This is like a caricature of the dirty old man is sitting at the park bench with the cane. And the girls go by and he tries to lift the dresses, which was mocked in the old TV show.
You might have to say that's a different.
No, he doesn't know. I don't know how old Morgan Freeman is.
I can look it up.
Book of Knowledge. How old is Morgan Freeman? Yeah, you probably better luck if you looked it up.
Yeah, he's
80 years, 80 years, 11 months, and 26 days. So he's 80. But still, that's
80 years, 11 months, 26 days.
Thank you. You can shut up.
Do you think that he... wow, so aggressive. Do you think that... she said that he attempted to lift up her skirt.
He was too weak.
There's more.
Now, Morgan Freeman issued a statement after our investigation published.
What did he say?
This is what he had to say. Anyone who knows me or who has worked with me knows I am not someone who would intentionally offend or knowingly make anyone feel uneasy. I apologize to anyone who felt uncomfortable or disrespected. That was never my intent.
Well, clearly I understand that these allegations are just from production staff. It's also from entertainment reporters as well?
Yes. So, we spoke to a wide range of people in all different professions. And one of the women who spoke to me, her name is Tyra Martin. She's a producer at WGN in Chicago. And she said that over the course of a decade, she interviewed Freeman multiple times and that he always made sexually charged comments to her. But she described to us that she was always, quote, in on the joke, that she perceived it as more as flirtation. But there was one time that she felt it really crossed a line. She said that this time in particular, he asked her not to pull her skirt down as she stood up to leave an interview with him. Now, that incident was not caught.
Wait a minute. I'm just trying to understand. Please don't pull. So she got up and he said, "Oh, please don't pull your skirt down." Is that what you heard?
Kind of. I think so. What else? But if you stand up, it was obviously some tight-fitting skirt in the first place. Again, maybe we should go back to the old thesis that maybe women should just wear pants and not wear makeup at all and that sort of thing. But she's wearing some tight skirt. She stands up. The skirt's clinging, showing her upper thigh. and she grabs to make a move to pull it down. And he says, "Don't do that. Don't pull it down."
Now, when the impression I'm getting, and she's about to give her own example here in a moment. The impression I'm getting is that a lot of this happened during the so-called, well, except for the producer in the beginning, so-called press junkets, where the actors are sitting there for a day or sometimes more than one day, and it's just one after another, 20 minutes, boom, boom, boom. Here's Entertainment Tonight. Here's E. Here's Access Hollywood. Here's the Japanese television. Here's and so he got a little punchy. Maybe I'm not trying to say what he did was right, but I don't know, it's here. Listen to. Again, all context.
On tape, but there were other exchanges of her where it was caught on tape where he was being very flirtatious. But I just want to back up and explain that.
I'm a little worried about this very flirtatious thing because it keeps like he was being flirtatious. Well, what is the line between flirtatious and sexual harassment? Where's the line?
This investigation started after Morgan Freeman made comments to me during a junket last year for the movie Going in Style. As soon as I walked in the room, he began to make sexually suggestive comments. And as an entertainment reporter for over a decade, it was unlike anything that I've ever experienced. And one of those comments was caught on tape, Don. In it, he says to me, "Boy, do I wish I was there," while looking me up and down. I was 6 months pregnant at the time, and his co-stars Alan Arkin and Michael Caine are actually seated right next to him during this exchange with me, and they actually look at him. We're going to play that clip, and I want you all to take note of Freeman's eyes.
One time I congratulated a woman on being pregnant, and she wasn't. And so I've never done it again. For 50 years, I've never done it.
You've learned your lesson.
I learned my lesson.
Boy, do I wish I was there.
This movie is... Look, it's a short clip caught on tape, but to explain the context, there were sexual comments made to me when I walked into the room and as I was leaving, but those were not caught on tape. Arkin, we couldn't reach him for comment, and Michael Caine declined to comment when we reached out.
Wow. Well, it's interesting that you're sharing these things because if you see it just in the context of that, you might think that he was responding to what the co-star said about, "I wish I was there,"
right,
when you were making the comments about the woman being pregnant.
That's exactly what it sounded like. And I watched his eyes. He wasn't like...
Hey. Oh, hold on. Something's making noise. It's me.
Yeah.
I'm looking up. Okay, this woman, this is like one of her first gigs ever. She landed the job of her dreams when in the summer of 2015. She started to work in Going in Style. And the job quickly, several months in front, she told CNN, she alleges Freeman unwanted time. Oh, this is the first woman. Well, anyway, finish what you were saying, because I think I know where you're going. I think I'm going to end up having to agree with this.
Well, so you hear Michael Caine make a joke, and she explicitly said, "Watch his eyes." And Morgan Freeman has kind of weird eye, buggy eyes anyway. But it wasn't like I couldn't see them rolling around or looking her up and down. Just he looked stoned, if anything. And he
Probably
said, "Boy, I wish I was there. I wish I could have been there." But what she claims is that, well, here's what she claims.
Declined to comment when we reached out.
Listen to what she says about it.
It's interesting that you're sharing these things because if you see it just in the context of that, you might think that he was responding to what the co-star said about, "I wish I was there,"
right,
when you were making the comments about the woman being pregnant and she was not.
Right, exactly. And that's why I have to set this up for everyone, because from the moment I walked in the room, he said to me when I shook his hand, "I wish I was there," more than once, while looking me up and down and also not letting go of my hand. Then he says this comment to me on tape, and then he made more comments to me about my body and then calling me ripe as I was leaving. And, it was that exchange that stood out to me, just being so brazen. And that's what led us to just call around and do our job and look into it. And what we found is a pattern.
Okay, well, she is one of those perky-looking, very cute girls. Atlanta. She's probably in. I would tell her to just, get rid of your makeup, stop with the hairdo type fitting clothes, which I'm looking at now.
Oh, wait a minute. You're mansplaining it away as you're asking for it.
No, I'm not saying she's asking for it, but I can see some 80-year-old guy just complimenting her out of the blue, and she takes it the wrong way because he's, 80. He's 80.
At what point do you get a license to do that?
80.
80 is it? When you're 80, then you can do it? 79 doesn't count?
I don't know. It seems like...
I have the same weird feeling about this particular case. And, I think every single one we've heard is like, yeah, these are incredible douchebags.
Yeah, the guys are grabbing them and raping them. How about raping them? Did he try to rape her? I don't think so.
No, he attempted to lift someone's dress. I don't know. It's just...
That seems flaky.
But more important is what's going to happen. Will anything happen to him? That's what I'm interested in. Are we following through? Are we going to take this seriously? Or are we going to let him slide for some reason because he's Hollywood royalty, i.e. God? I would prefer not to see that. When someone makes this kind of allegation, that's serious business. So there better be follow through.
I would agree with you 100%.
And I'm going to stay on this because, not that I don't want Morgan Freeman to be in any trouble, but screw it.
I don't care one way or the other, to be honest about it.
If the guy's a douchebag, the guy's a douchebag. But let's get the proper information and let's really do something with it and call him out properly. I find this to be, it's getting, and forget the age part because it's ageist when you say that either way.
Yeah, you're right.
And so I don't think there's any age where you have a license to be a dick.
Well, he might think he's not being a dick, and he's being very complimentary to here's a picture of him. Her feed, Chloe's feed, is, let's see, tweet number 1 is about this. Tweet number 2 is about this. Tweet number 3 is about this. Tweet number 4 is about this. Tweet number 5 is about this and has a picture of him.
Mm-hmm.
Tweet number 6 is plugging something she's going to be doing. Tweet number 7 is about this with another picture of him looking at her.
Yeah.
Tweet number 8 is about this. Visa suspends Morgan Freeman campaign after accusations of inappropriate behavior.
Oh, there you go.
She's like milking this thing to death. Tweet number 9 is about this. Tweet number 10 is about Harvey Weinstein. Tweet number 11 is about Harvey Weinstein. Tweet number 12 is about her and Morgan Freeman. That's another one. That's 12. Number 13, my colleagues and I are with somebody discussing the investigation, allegations, and harassment of Morgan Freeman. That's number 13. Tweet number 15 has got a picture of Morgan Freeman. Tweet number 16 is about this. Tweet number 17 is about this with a picture of him again. Tweet number 18 is about this with a picture of him. Tweet number 19 is a picture of Harvey Weinstein.
All right, so we get your point. I think that in this particular case, this to me is pivotal. Either do you pursue this and come up with some real allegations, and I'd like to have something a little more succinct than attempted, tried, flirtatious. Give me something a little more corroborated with some other people other than you. It's not really good to be part of the story as a journalist, I've always been told. And then we need to go after him vigorously, just like
those days are over. Just
like Charlie Rose, just like any of these other guys who didn't rape anybody. Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw, Dan Rather, Tom Brokaw, all of them. But if you let him slide, I'll be very disappointed. Unless you just don't have anything. Now, beautiful, on the other hand, the real scumbag, Harvey Weinstein, who got perp walked. And I had to rewind the tape a couple times because I do that with a pencil in that little hole and rewind it. They didn't have him handcuffed. Did you see that? He wasn't actually. They did a perp walk and he was not in handcuffs.
I saw a perp walk. He was in handcuffs. I know, and there was some discussion of when he was and when he wasn't in handcuffs. He was in handcuffs at one time.
Oh, I didn't see. I only saw them holding his arms, and he had his arms down by his side.
Yeah, his was in handcuffs.
Okay, so you did see that? Okay.
I'm still looking at Chloe's feeds, and now it goes on to now she's talking about Mario Battaglia. She is completely preoccupied with this. It goes on Batali.
Who's that?
Batali.
Who is this guy?
Mario Batali. He's the guy who was on the Chew, and he's this famous chef who owns like 6 restaurants in New York, and he closed down his 3 places in Vegas because of this. I'm looking at, she's got a tweet down here on Mario Batali is a monster, and she's going on. This is all she tweets about.
And this is also, is this Sonia? The same Sonia who's doing these stories? Who's doing the stories?
Chloe.
Oh, Chloe.
The one who he looked up and down. That was pregnant at the time.
Right.
It goes on.
Because I love the empowerment. I love the moment, but we need a couple of ground rules on this stuff. You can just, we know you can just say anything you want about anybody, but even so, I've been incredibly flirtatious in my life.
Yeah, you're the one that's really, I'm surprised you're not in jail as we speak.
You're such a friend. No,
you got away with it.
No, but because I've never touched inappropriately. I've never said anything inappropriate. Flirtatious.
No. That's got nothing to do with it. We can go back to the clips, but it's because you're a good-looking guy.
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. That's right.
Ugly old black man.
So it's really just a racist thing, is what you're saying. I'm glad we figured it out. Nice.
I never said it was a racist thing because Harvey Weinstein's an ugly, fat old guy, dude, white.
But he was also raping women.
But he was raping, but there's a number of other these borderline cases, and it's always an ugly bastard. You never hear anybody bitching and moaning. Even here's the one, this Chloe, she's going further down her thing. She's got Alec and Hilaria Baldwin. Welcome baby number 4. Alec Baldwin is a father again. There's a guy who's like a borderline situation, but at some point he's a good-looking guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to, let him slide. Let that slide, and let's go after the ugly men. This is part of the system of human evolution.
Nice.
It is.
Doesn't bode well.
Well, it doesn't bode well once you get over past a certain age, or if you stop, using combing your hair.
All right. Anything for the segment, or can I close it out?
I don't even know you opened it. When did you open it?
I opened it. I played the jingle. I'm going to close it now, though.
This concludes your sexual harassment update.
When they go after Brad Pitt or any of these types of guys, then I'll be...
Then we'll know what's up. Yeah.
But that's never going to happen. Brad Pitt can flirt with anybody. All the female comics joke about this. Well, he's a good-looking guy. I can put up with it.
Yeah, on a technology tip, just shifting gears for a moment, I have a question for you because this is new. Cisco apparently came out with a big warning through the IC3, the Internet Crime Complaint Center. I think that's what it's called. And they said at least 500,000 routers have been compromised. Now, they actually said networking devices, but it's clearly aimed at routers. And so let me read this actually from the FBI, because I had never seen FBI give this kind of advice. Public service announcement. This came out May 25th. It's the official alert. Foreign cyber actors, Gerard Depardieu, I guess, target home and office routers and networked devices worldwide. Summary. The FBI recommends any owner of small office and home office routers power cycle, in parens, reboot the devices. Foreign cyber actors have compromised hundreds of thousands of home and office routers and other network devices worldwide. The actors use VPN filter malware to target small office and home office routers. The malware is able to perform multiple functions, including possible information collection, device exploitation, and blocking network traffic. Technical details. The size and scope of the infrastructure impacted by VPN filter malware is significant. The malware targets routers produced by several manufacturers and network-attached storage devices by at least one manufacturer. The initial infection vector for this malware is currently unknown. And then the threat. VPN filters able to render small office and home office routers inoperable. The malware can potentially also collect information passing through the router. Detection and analysis. The malware's network activity is complicated by its use of encryption and misattributable networks. And then the defense, and this is the thing that I think is new. The FBI recommends any owner of small office and home office routers reboot the devices to temporarily disrupt the malware and aid the potential identification of infected devices. I have never heard the FBI, never seen the FBI recommend you reboot your router. I mean, this is cable company advice here. So would it, and I'm asking you, but maybe, and I've tried to look it up. It's very hard, even Bing, you can't get any information now. It's all flooded. Wouldn't that perhaps, if we don't know much about this, wouldn't that maybe actually help install and activate the malware?
Well, it seems to me what they're talking about is some sort of code that is in the buffers, in the temporary memory, in the memory that is volatile. Because to change the code in the basic, in the firmware, which you can do, but you have to go through a process, and you have to, then the router has to know what's going on. I mean, and it usually comes from headquarters. They redo your firmware from HQ, and they pretty much wipe out what was there and put a whole new piece of code in there. If you could get in that, then you could have some fun. But I think rebooting the router probably would wipe it out completely. I think it's only it's got to be some sort of a minor temp kind of a virus.
See, I personally think, and I don't know enough about it, and I already see there's alternating views in the troll room. If you have something in the volatile network, and if you pull the plug out, and how do you reboot? They're saying cycle. I think it, and also read their defense closely here. FBI recommends any owner of small office and home office routers reboot the devices to temporarily disrupt the malware and aid the potential identification of infected devices. Does that mean that they are on some back end waiting for these things to come online and see them and say, there it is, they've got the malware, thanks for rebooting?
Well, that's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's great advice.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you should be rebooting your router every so often anyway.
On show days, certainly.
On show days.
Well, what it does, and I think I may be infected, I have not rebooted my router, is it changes your DNS settings. And that is the Mac Daddy. Because, then you can do all kinds of fun stuff if you have different IP.
Oh, if you can get in there and change the DNS settings.
Exactly.
That's an interesting idea.
Because then, you can redirect all kinds of stuff. It wouldn't take a lot of code
to do that, obviously.
And the reason I know
do it manually.
No, and the reason I know something's different with mine is if I just type in a bogus, because on show days I have it pretty stock. I don't use specific DNS servers, and I have ways to change all of that and VPNs, and I keep it pretty stock. If I type in a bogus URL in my browser, what typically comes up is, because I have AT&T fiber, the AT&T page will come up, which is a search page. We couldn't find this. Did you mean this? It has, it has a list. That's not coming up for me right now. Now it's a blank page.
Yeah, you've got a problem.
So I think I probably have something going on. So I haven't rebooted yet, and I'm going to see. I don't think I can find anything, but if I reboot, I'll at least know if that changed.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. It's got nothing to do with your story. But, it's all this talk of artificial intelligence and smart this and smart that and smart the other thing.
Yeah.
So you type in a URL, something.com. But instead of typing .com, you type because this is exactly what happened. I typed .ccom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's only a limited number of TLDs.
Top-level domains.
You'd think that the router or whatever, I don't care who it is, would notice that there's no such thing as .ccom.
Right.
And would either correct it and say, it's probably meant this, let me just try that. But no. You get this error message. We've tried. Yeah, this is bull crap. It shouldn't even go that far to tell me that we tried. The domain doesn't, it's not working. Of course it's not working.
I think many companies try to correct that for you.
Well, I'm not seeing any evidence of it using my Firefox. Firefox should have it built in.
Right. No, Firefox, no. No, I think
I can try all my browsers. They're all going to freak out.
Yeah. So you're saying, why is that not smartly managed and arranged?
Why hasn't that been fixed? Because of all this artificial intelligence that we're using to make the world a better place. It's bull crap.
You want AI in your browser now? I can make that just a bunch of skip logic.
I just want this one thing. When you make a little typo, for God's sake.
Yeah. Well, I don't have that problem anymore. I'm on the OTG phone, and boy, is it hard to type a message. I'm misspelling words left and right. It's very hard. But, yeah.
All right. So I have a clip. It's a little entremont. I've always talked about how ABC slips in these native ads into their news feeds. They always have something that's got something to do with some company that paid for the 30 seconds. Very rarely you see something that goes on forever. I think this is a native ad. You're going to have to guess the company, and you'll find that there's more than one option. But at the end, it reveals.
I see the clip. I got it.
But wait. They took Holly Williams, their top international foreign correspondent at CBS, and they put her on this stupid story, and she had to report on it. She did get a free trip to a couple of places, it seems, even though she may not have. She's been reported the whole thing from Turkey, for all I can tell. But this was a native ad, and you can, at the very end, they give it away, even though during the thing they kind of give it away, but then you realize that they're doing a good job. But this is a very long native ad. Guess the company.
A shocking confession has confounded lovers of the Swedish meatball.
Chef Boyardee.
Keep going.
Did I get it right?
No.
Oh.
For centuries, the beloved staple was considered Sweden's signature dish. But a simple tweet changed that. Turns out that it may be from another country. Holly Williams has the story.
When you think of Sweden, perhaps ABBA comes to mind. Or maybe IKEA's
no-go zones full of immigrants comes to mind for me.
Build-it-yourself furniture. But if you're a food lover, it's probably Swedish meatballs. They're Sweden's national dish, traditionally served with mashed potato and sweet lingonberry sauce. But last month, Sweden's government confessed a terrible secret via Twitter. Swedish meatballs, it said, are actually Turkish, imported 300 years ago by Swedish King Charles XII.
Meatballs are ours, of course. Swedish meatballs are Swedish.
Swedish cafe owner Bronte Orell is joking, as other Swedes did when they heard the news. One gestured that his whole life had been a lie. The truth, of course, is that good food travels.
I mean, noodles came originally from China and then came to Italy, and they have pasta, so that doesn't make Italian pasta Chinese.
But here in Turkey, the confession left some people feeling they'd been robbed. At Ali Baba's meatball joint in Istanbul, these Turkish diners told us they were happy to share their meatballs, but not the credit for their invention.
Don't call it Swedish meatball because it's not.
But now there's a new twist to the story. A Swedish food expert told us it's fake news because the origins of meatballs are uncertain. And Sweden's official Twitter account now concedes that the meatball's culinary history is complex.
And so an international incident has been resolved. Meatballs, just like the people who make them, come from everywhere. Holly Williams, CBS News, Istanbul.
And did you know that Swedish company IKEA said that 2 million meatballs are eaten in their stores worldwide every day?
Wow. What a killer. 2 minutes to get to the punchline for them.
Well, they did mention IKEA earlier in the piece.
Yeah, they totally glossed over it, of course.
And that was just kind of kicked in there. And then at the end, they do the kicker, which is that 2 million meatballs a day are served at IKEA, which is, they have a meatball restaurant there. And it's like, wow, what a native ad. And that was a long one.
Unbelievable. And that was on the nightly news? That was the nightly news?
Yes, that was the weekend news. But it was,
weekend
news.
The
same basic news. But they take Holly Williams off of her normal assignments of being in some war zone and have her do a meatball story.
Hey, man, the meatball wars are real, bro.
Meatballs.
Meatball wars.
And that was, you have the time. What's the time on that clip? That clip was
2:20.
2:20. That's a long native ad.
Who are the other meatball companies out there? Who are they fighting against?
They're not. They're just plugging IKEA. It's an IKEA plug. Wasn't there something recently? IKEA had some scandal about, giving away the wrong hex wrench or something. I forgot. This is to make everybody feel better.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm very happy we don't have to do that. You imagine, I'm deep in some legislation. I'm looking at Nord Stream 2 and the Russians and the Germans and Gerhard Schroeder and the pipeline. And then I have to pay it off with a meatball ad all of a sudden. Thank God for our value for value proposition.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab.
Debilitating.
Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And I always have to remind myself, whenever I get one of those, hey, would you come on, do a little interview for this or that? I always have to remember, no, you don't want to do it, because the minute you get there, all of it comes streaming back. All the stupid things, like this poor Holly Williams has to do the IKEA ad, or you can't talk about this, have to talk about this, move on, just answer this, answer with the question. It is mainstream media is debilitating.
Yeah. But you've always got Michael Jackson to fall back on.
Oh, please.
Sir Cal, we got a lot of votes in. Sir Cal, $138.38. Says, keep it going. Greg Dial comes in with $101.38. So we go. There's another couple votes. And he's going to be a knight. And he says, keep going. Andrew Sawyer in Duncan, BC. It's right near Spuzum. Keep going, please. $100.38. Kyle Blank, $100.38. Robert Blank Shane, $100.38. All keep going. This is good. Oops. Sir Cuss Media, $100.37.
What does he say?
See, he says, except this is 3 times 33 plus 38. It just came out wrong. So he's actually saying keep going.
He's saying, he also says, I'm turning 27 today, which is 3 cubed.
3 cubed.
Man, we got some numerologists on this show. All right.
Yeah,
Sir Cuss Media, I have to put him on the list. He wasn't on the list. Okay.
Oh, on the birthday list.
Yeah.
Sizemon, Shizmon, Libazuski. Tough name. 9999. Great show, John. I love you too. Please send out a douche call out to Agata.
Okay.
Douchebag. The show helps her sleep in the afternoon. We're east, and she never donated. Please karma for Steve Steve, if possible. We'll put Steve's karma at the end for you.
We will.
David Hart, 9838. That's a going. Jess Moore, 8338. Keep going. Ron Link, 8008. Heck with the survey. Ken Smock in Las Cruces, New Mexico, 7718. Another Kevin Farney, 7538. Keep going. It says, this is my sole source of real news. Scott Webster.
Wait. The second part to that. My wife thinks it makes me too cynical. But you guys keep me woke.
His wife makes him too cynical. She's not listening to the show enough.
Well, no. A word of advice, relationship tip. You got to go easy if you're in a non-mouth hit relationship. You just going like, it's bull crap. It's not going to work. Look, John doesn't even live in the same place as his wife, so don't go that direction.
She's on my side in these debates,
and she loves you.
She's worse than me. She's worse than me.
That's the big secret.
$75.38.
You actually don't want to live with her.
Sir Dave, yes, that's exactly. Oh, here we go. Sir Dave Pugh, $73.37. So he's in Massillon. You dudes are my only source of. He's the one who sent me a note saying, "Hey, he got his numbers mixed up."
Oh, okay. He meant well though.
Yeah, Steve Hutto, 77 in St. Petersburg, Florida. Michael Greer in East Bumblefuck.
Oh, Shikshini.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, so nice to hear from Michael. Michael and Sarah.
Yeah, they live in Bumblefuck. Is that right?
Bumblefuck, and they live in the log house.
Do you have the hip 41st birthday for him on there?
Sure do.
Baron Mark Tanner in Whittier, 6666. He donates twice a month. Sir Honey Badger of the Carolinas, Matthews, North Carolina, 6044. Alyssa.
I think it's Alyssa.
I'm sorry, Alyssa. It could be Eliza or Alyssa. Yeah, Alyssa is what it is. Tiprigan in Littleton, Colorado, 6008. That's the lopsided breasts. We have a birthday again. You got him on there? Only one was a donation?
Sure do. Yeah, sure do.
Okay, well, we got that. Michael Burdett in Arlington, Washington, $60. Another birthday. Jeez. We had no birthdays on the last show. Michael Miguel Lopez in Flanders, New Jersey, $58.30. Another plus. Douglas Engstrom, $56.50. I'd like to call it
the Zephyr donation.
Yeah, we got to figure out why.
Here it is. Perfect track gauge, 56.5 from rail to rail. So that's 56.5.
Wow,
that's a great donation, John. 56.50. Zephyr.
56. I'm going to write these down because I got to put together a list of all these crazy donations people have dreamed up, and I like that one a lot. That's Douglas Engstrom. John Schmidt in Modesto, California, 5555. No jingle. Well, you're not going to get one anyway. Ed Zlotnick, 5555.
And he said he loves his wife of 28 years.
Yes, that's a good note. Tim Heasel in Hanford, 5538. So
yes, it's still useful. That's like an old bike. It's still useful. Yeah, that No Agenda show.
It still works. Why should I sell it?
We're like an old bike.
Josh Old Shoes. Josh Mandel, 5538. Nadia Borg, 5538 says, please keep going. Sir Patrick Coble down there in Tennessee, 5537. Oh, wait a minute. This makes no sense.
No, I think he misunderstood.
Shows you cannot be expressed. Enough with this donation. You are both amazing people doing great things. Then he votes us out.
No,
people need to learn. You got to read carefully.
I think the spreadsheet got hacked by the Russians.
That could be. David Fugazotto in Gladstone, Missouri, constantly donates. Sir David, I'm sure. He says, "Just keep it going," but he's got a 37-cent one in here. James Buell, 5338. I wonder how many people did the exact opposite and put 38 when they meant 37.
This is the problem with internet voting. We have no paper trail.
This is a problem with internet voting. Colonel Bob, internet voting with comments kind of works because then you can correct the vote. But then again, you could be sued.
Yes.
Colonel Bob, 5333. Thanks for a great newsletter. Love what you do. Ezekiel Chopper, 5318. Keep it going. It's 38 cents. He gets 52.80. Okay, something. He's got something going on. He's subtracted or something. Stephen Pitzel, 51.38. It says, what does he say? We are despicable. We are ashamed. Something and something. Chris Sundberg, Mercer Island, $51. Sir Gordon Walton, Baron of Madison County, Texas, 50.68. Daniel Torello in Charleston, South Carolina, 50.38. Patrick Vaughn, 50.38. Thomas Key in Kansas City, 50.38. Clifford Muchler, KM4RMO, 73s.
Here's a nice note. Please don't go. Great product. The newsletter was real slick, John. Got this douchebag to donate. Yes, the show is beyond useful. Please stick around if you can for another 963 plus episodes. Oh, until 2000. Ugh.
Clifford, that's Muchler at 5038. Sir Eric VM, Baronet of the Valley, 5038 in Van Nuys. Herbert Harms, 5030. Now, I will say this. We're getting a lot of 5038s, 5138s. The people who did the 37s, and there are a few, they're all down in the $1 area because they're not going to donate $50 and 37 cents because they hate the show.
Right. Did they have notes?
No, you can't read them. Nicholas Holler at 5038. There's some sent email in. I will read some of those, but that'll be on next Sunday. Derek 38, Guy Boazzi, Sir Guy Boazzi, 5038 in Tel Aviv.
Wow, wait, we haven't heard from him from years. In years, Boazzi.
Yes. Yeah, we haven't. You're right.
Good guy. Hey, man, good to hear from you. Thank you for your courage.
Show kindness to your show. Seriously, how often do you find any source of information which kindly asks you to donate cents per hours of usage? We're not being forced. We don't have to. But if we can use even 1 point of information from each 3-hour show, it's only fair we pay something. That's Guy.
Thank you, Guy. I think it is Guy. I was saying Guy, and then it turned out it was Guy. Guy Boazzi. Yeah.
Sir Kevin of Devon, 5038. Christopher O'Cowan in Austin, Texas, right down the street from you, 5038. Kirk Sathoff. Now, we got some people out of the woodwork here. This is a good donation segment. Still my favorite podcast. I had another guy said, hey, he's like, I can't stand these other podcasts. And he listed a bunch of them I've never heard of. I went to listen to it. Oh, man, there's some bad podcasts out there.
There are, yeah.
Really bad. Sean McClellan. McClellan is what it really is, 5038. Philip Welch, 5038. Joseph Iona, 5038. Sir Daniel Warren, 5038 in Boise. Mark Neiman, 5038. There's a lot of these.
Yeah.
Brian Moss in Rancho Santa Margarita, 5030. I'm just going to read the names. They're all 5038s. Ed Boutier.
Le Boutier.
The Boutier.
Yeah, the Boutier.
Le Boutier.
It's the Boutier.
Todd Beeson, Michael Kern in Cyprus. Sir Midnight of the Rivers in Crestview, Florida. Matthew Hillis. Astrid Klein, hey.
Dame, yes, the Viscountess of the Japan seas and all the islands.
Exactly. Roy Pingle. Jos van der Sanden.
From der Sonde. He's from Arnhem.
It doesn't say that here.
Yeah, it does.
Nicholas Johnson in Floyd's Knobs, Indiana.
Love
One
that
of the
town.
great Indiana towns.
Yes,
They have these great names for towns in Indiana.
Mm-hmm. All
Joshua
good stuff comes from there.
Schmidt, Norwood, Young America. Norwood, Young America, Minnesota. Really? Alan Bowes, 5038. Jenny McGrew. James Callahan. Sir Mad Hatter and Dame Jamie.
Robert? Jeannie McGrew said something nice. Says, please don't stop. You save my sanity every day. Seriously, you both influence my life 24/7, much more than just twice a week. The show is truly life-altering. Oh, man.
Jeez.
That's nice.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Or it's Jeannie.
Jeannie.
Yeah, Jeannie McGrew, not Jenny. Jeannie. Sir Mad Hatter and Dame Jamie. Robert Marsh. Here we got some no votes. Who did cough up 50. 2 of them. But listen to this. Robert Marsh, 5037 in Hartsville, Alabama. No, keep going. You are integral to my sanity and provide much appreciated value. Call out Jonathan from Huntsville as a douchebag. He'll put some karma for you at the end. So he's could just put a wrong donation. Sean Wilkie, 5037. He also did the same thing. He says very useful. You guys voted wrong. Get a clue. So you're gonna have to vote again.
This is how we got Trump.
Scott Nelson, 50. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's hanging chads.
The hanging chads of no agenda.
From Melbourne. And now we got $50 donors straight up. Jose Ferreira in Newbury, Berkshire, UK. Louis Pastor in Miami, Florida. Jeffrey Zellen in Oakland, Michigan. John Simmons, $50. Robert Makowski in Rhinebeck, New York. Sir Peter Totes in Sugar Land, Texas. Robert Drykosen, I think, in Oshkosh, Bagosh, Wisconsin. Keith Gibson, Aaron Havens in Spring, Texas. And finally, Sir Alan Bean right down the street from me, and Frank or Carol Molinari in Boulevard, Texas. Thank you, all you folks, for helping us try to determine whether to stay on or not. We do have a lot of votes at the bottom of this spreadsheet.
Well, when are you going to have the final tally next Sunday?
Yeah, I'm going to have to add these up. Yeah, I'm going to put them in a spreadsheet.
Because obviously, it's nice to hear that.
But here's the problem again. We got two guys that gave 33, 37, and one says keep going.
I'd just like to know, there must be negative ones. Doesn't anyone, except for the one you read, everyone thinks it's good? We just keep going? I'm fine with it. I'm
going down
to
the bottom here. Let's go to the bottom, because the normal guy who doesn't want the show on it's going to be $1.37 or just 37. And here we have a guy in Fort John, BC, Canada, $1.37. But then again, his note is the show is very helpful. I think shifting focus off U.S. media. Here's what he's bitching about. Who are obsessed with one thing and maybe doing more media deconstruction from other countries might be a good idea to try.
Good
There are
point.
way more things going on than what the U.S. media talks about, as you guys say over and over.
That's true.
I think the media deconstruction suffers when the media has no news.
I completely agree, and I've complained about this bitterly.
We have this situation on today's show.
Well,
it's hardly any news.
And you know what? Because of that, for our second half, I have Turkey, Germany, Australia, and Ireland. And it's not. I mean, it's interesting news because it's not reported here. So I was like, oh yes, this is fun to know. But it's hard to deconstruct, and I think honestly, we did deconstruct some UK media at the top of this show. We do what we can, but we need a lot more help from our producers. So
yeah, we need more boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground reporting, telling us what's going on. We do need that help. Hold on, fixing my mic, much better. It's an old one. It's a mechanical microphone.
Okay, that'll conclude our group. Yeah, that's our group of well-wishers and producers.
I feel good. I feel good now. I feel good, but I still.
I'm glad we did that. Then
I am interested in feedback, like that the 130, the 137 there you said, and more European news. Yes, absolutely. I'd love to do a lot more. Need a lot more help.
Yeah, we do as much as we can. But where most of the screwy, well, even though the Europeans, I think, are getting the same screwed up, twisted news that we're getting, I think the American media is the worst.
Well, we are the beacon. We show how it's done. We show how it's done.
The beacon of crap.
Thank you, everybody.
More crap.
Really appreciate
Coming your
this.
way. More crap.
We will have another show on Thursday, a best of show, and if you decide to donate. We'll do all of the lists on the next Sunday. And, of course, you can go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
Jobs, relationship, and F cancer karma.
Jobs,
Goat karma, that is.
and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
We got great lists today. Birthdays: Erwin Thomason and Thomason in Almere, Holland. Celebrating his birthday today. Chris Wilson, Sir Chris in Australia. And I believe he also becomes an official knight today. Sir Smock, 53 today. Michael Greer turns 44 there in Chickasha, Pennsylvania. Alyssa Tiprigan says happy birthday to her husband David, 33 today. Magic number. Michael Burdett turning 60. Sir Loudpipes says happy birthday to Richard Warfield Jr., his birthday today. And finally, Sir Cuss Media turns 27. Happy birthday from your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ceremonies today, so this is good.
Yeah,
I like it. Oh, where's your blade? Oops, I almost went without your sword.
You didn't get yours either.
I did. I got mine.
I didn't hear it.
Well, here it is. Can't you see it? Just get your blade out.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Hold on a second. It's over on the floor. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. This concludes your theater of the mind.
Yeah.
Up up on the podium, Michael Harrington, Anonymous, and other known as Rachel, Chris Wilson, Greg Dial. No, it's actually, we have her twice. Okay, perfect. That works. We are about to celebrate your entry into the No Agenda Roundtable of the Knights and Dames. Thanks to your contribution, the amount of $1,000 or more. So I'm very proud to pronounce the Sir Backcountry Ranger, Dame Rachel, Debt Slave Emancipator, Sir Chris, and Sir Greg of Parts Unknown. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Dr. Pepper and a Quick Handy, Redheads and Ryes, Rubenesque Women and Rosé, Bong Hits and Bourbon, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, Mutton and Mead is always available for you at noagendanation.com/rings. Please head over there. Give Eric the Shill all of your info. Can't wait to see you tweet out your official rings and your certificates and your sealing wax, especially from Dame Rachel. We look forward to seeing that.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
One change today. Sir Robert Alter, who has been with us for a while, has donated up to the level of Earl, and that will be reflected on our peerage map, itm.im/peerage. And thank you for your courage. Now, Sir Robert Alter, Earl of No Agenda. I guess he should give us a protectorate. Thank you again. Dvorak.org/NA for support in our grand experiment known as the No Agenda Show.
I want to read a note from one of the guys who sent me a couple of books. I don't know if you got one, but he should probably send you one. He's got this book called Media Collusion. He's got this website, you should go to this, media-collusion.org.
Okay.
Media-collusion.org.
Any collusion?
Any collusion? And he's got this very nice book that he says that he says if you want to repurpose it as a no agenda book. And it's just dynamite. And I want to get him to get you a copy.
Okay.
But he says, John, this could easily be a no agenda book. I quickly wrote it to support a class I'm teaching in SoCal, but I would happily repurpose it. Cheers, Phil Dunn.
Cool.
Philip R. Dunn. Good, very good.
Now, is this for college kids or is this for?
If you can figure it out on his website, but it's kind of like a seminars. It's like a seminar.
I do like what it says here. It says life-changing media literacy for OC students. Do your kids have the ability to analyze and combat advertising strategies and be intentional about consumer choices? Do they possess critical thinking skills that allow them to examine the motivations, economics, and powers behind entertainment, news, and advertising media? They are not getting these skills in school. Huh. This looks like a total no agenda project.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Love it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
No, can we just buy these books, or does he have to send them to us? They're not available on are they on Amazon?
They're not a book that he's selling that I know of.
Okay.
But we can do something with these and get them distributed, I'm sure. I was just talking about see what the options are.
I like it. Very cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Okay. Let's do some international news, shall we?
Oh, okay.
Well, Turkey in the news again. Haven't heard from Erdogan in a while. And he's, I think he did this maybe 6 months ago, and he's back.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has urged citizens to convert their dollar and euro savings into lira in an attempt to shore up the foundering currency. The Turkish lira has lost some 20% of its value this year, hit by investors' concern about the strengthening influence of Erdogan on monetary policy. We are aware of the game being played against us, and we're fighting it with the tools we have in hand, he told an election rally. Being a Turkish national means you should first protect your own currency. Here's my request to my people: don't believe in rumours and protect your own currency. Shoppers and market traders are feeling the pinch from the decline in the currency and double-digit inflation. The ailing Turkish economy has emerged as a key issue as Turkey heads into presidential and parliamentary elections next month.
Ah, okay. Now I understand.
Oh,
elections.
So they're pulling a grease on him.
Mm-hmm. It does, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Bankers.
So you think
Bankers.
that they're
You should talk to your banker.
I didn't know. This report just came in. I didn't realize. I'll ask him. I'll send him a note. What's going on? Are we
pulling a stunt?
Are we putting a squeeze on the Turks?
Yeah, an economic hitman stunt.
This is from Australia, a nice Ted pill moment. You always wonder why you want to keep a couple of dollars or euros or something around in some kind of fiat currency in cash that you can hold on to.
National Australia Bank is suffering a nationwide outage, experiencing issues with multiple servers. The bank tweeted that internet, mobile banking, ATM services and FPOS are down, and they're working to fix the outage as soon as possible. It did not mention when the outage is expected to be fixed. Customers have taken to social media to express their outrage, with some calling for compensation.
Dream on, slaves. I want compensation. It's so dangerous when you don't have money.
Yeah. And that can happen if there's an outage because we're dependent on the electric grid.
And wasn't Australia all in on going cashless?
I don't know that.
I think I can recall a report. Was it, let me see, Australia cash? No. I thought there was something, I thought there was a report about that. Could be wrong.
Well, maybe. So just to balance a little bit, I do have not a local story, but I noticed this David Hogg character.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did the die-in.
Yeah, play the boycott Publix thing. I want to talk about this for a second.
Boycott! Publix! Boycott! Publix! Boycott! Publix! Boycott! Publix! 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 Publix!
I do have a minute report with a backgrounder if you want that.
Go ahead.
Well, John, right now I'm standing just a couple feet in front of where this display was set up outside of Publix. And this is just hours before a cleaning crew was hired by the property manager here of the shopping center to come take it down. I want to show you some video of David Hogg. He is the one who created this display. They actually had to make it twice after rain washed it out the first time. And he said he came up with this idea just late last night to draw 17 chalk figures along with gun statistics to bring awareness to gun laws and also protest Publix after earlier this week it came to light that the grocery store chain donated $500,000 to Adam Putnam, a Republican running for Florida governor. Hogg is now asking Publix to donate $1 million, double what they did to Putnam's campaign, to the school's memorial fund, and hoping that the store will no longer support pro-gun politicians.
They're physically trying to remove these things, and they are. We've allowed our politicians to be able to do that. When we allow them to be reelected again and again and again, when they say they're going to do something and never do, we keep having these kids die, we cry over them, the kids wash away at the hands of time.
And while that display was being taken down, Hogg talked to us and says he understands that he did put it up on private property and was understanding of why they were taking it down. But he said that's not stopping him from doing a die-in at 4 o'clock this afternoon. That's where he plans to lie down on the grocery store's floor for 12 minutes or roughly 700 seconds. He says this is to signify the recent school shootings here in the U.S. in recent history.
There you go.
All right, so this kid has picked up the scheme used by the extortion operation.
Media Matters.
Well, not Media Matters. I'm thinking more along the lines of the Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson.
Oh, yeah, like
the shakedown.
Yeah, it's a shakedown. Yeah, if you want us gone, then donate.
Yeah, and so this is what he's done. He finds and Publix, by the way, is owned by the employees. It's a very, very uncontroversial company. It's really a good operation. It's like
I didn't know this. So it's completely. Is it like a co-op or just completely?
No, it's just completely employee owned.
Interesting.
So you become an employee, you get some shares, and the next thing you know, you've got a lot of money. And a lot of people would love to invest in Publix. I talked to Horowitz about this, and you can't. It's a really good operation. It's well run. But unless you're an employee, you can't get any stock.
Huh.
But that's what there's a shakedown. It's one of these things. I don't understand why the FBI allows this to go on. And so they have this die-in, and Publix already given in. They're okay, we'll give your little operator. They got some organization that I think he's somehow behind, which is something to do with the dead students at the other school. And it's it's just a shakedown. This is just plain and simple. And the people that are falling for it, that are involved in this, should be ashamed of themselves.
Well, also,
this is racketeering. Somebody needs to stop this sort of thing.
I love seeing the pictures of shoppers just stepping over the people and just getting milk and eggs. It's like,
it's pretty funny.
What's on the ground? It's one of those again. Yeah, and it's I mean, it's now twice removed from the shooting. You know, it's like, well, this guy takes money from the NRA. You support that guy, so now you have to give $1 million to, I think, an organization I agree that he's involved in. Which org was it?
I don't know at the moment. I can't remember, but it's beside the point. This is a shakedown. It is extortion. It's racketeering. And where is the FBI? And you're going to see more of it until they crack down on it. Of course, you'll have a lot of public sympathy, but this is just, and apparently other areas you're seeing the same kind of thing going on with Antifa. They're doing shakedowns. Yeah. This is a lot in the small businesses around here and there. This is all illegal. All illegal. This is all illegal because money is involved. Threats.
I hadn't even looked at it that way. I think you're absolutely right. Would it fall under racketeering? Well, extortion, sure, but racketeering?
Totally racketeering. Yeah. A lot of people are involved. It's extortion. It's illegal. This is what they stopped the mafia from doing this. Why are these guys allowed to do it? Because it's for a good cause?
The hog mafia.
It's a hog mafia.
I'm writing that one down. Right. Good catch. Yeah. I didn't even consider that.
It'll be easy to catch this because it's going to keep going.
Yeah.
You're going to see this with all these.
You're
groups.
right.
It's money.
You're so right. Because at first I thought, it's like a Media Matters thing and, go after a company. But no, you're right. They demanded money. That's like porn. What do you call it? When you
revenge porn?
Revenge porn. No, it's not like revenge porn. Well, I guess it.
No, this is just straight up extortion.
You're right. There's no other way to look at it. It's a shakedown. You're right. Damn. You're right. This Public's very interesting story. They are the largest employee-owned company in the world, according to the Book of Knowledge.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, people would love to get a hold of that stock.
In France, people pissed off at Macron.
Tens of thousands of people have again protested across France over President Emmanuel Macron's economic reforms. In Paris, there were around 40 arrests after protesters clashed with police. The protests were called by 60 unions, political parties and associations. One union put the turnout at around 80,000, whilst the police estimated 21,000.
Wow.
But however large the protests, Macron says he won't surrender. And some of his reforms, such as getting rid of job-for-life contracts at the state-owned SNCF railways, are supported by most of France, polls have revealed. Also on Saturday in Lyon, an anti-Macron protest merged peacefully with an anti-Nazi one. No arrests were reported. Unions representing nearly 6 million public sector workers held strikes last week, and more are expected across France.
There's that socialism not doing its job.
Yeah, well,
but imagine
whatever does its job.
Look, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to get this one report out of the way, which is the North Korea NOCO. Sure. I saw that term, NOCO. NOCO. What is that? Oh, North Korea.
I had not heard NOCO, but I like it.
Yeah, I kind of liked it right away because it's I could use DPRK or whatever it is.
Yeah,
but I like NOCO. This is the report. Apparently, this meeting is on again, off again, on again, and now we're getting these leaks coming out of the.
Well, hold on one before you get into that. Let me just because I followed this and I think here's what happened. It seems like this is all part of the Trump setup. If we go back and remember, he was talking about I got my fire and fury, my button works, all this stuff, and then Kim Jong-un goes, okay. But now it was Pence. It was Pence who I think was purposely asked to say, well, there's always the Libya strategy, which is get rid of your nukes.
It was Bolton. Where did Pence come into the picture?
No, because, Pence reiterated that, and then Kim Jong-un's guy, his lieutenant, he said Pence is a dick, and he said, shut his mouth, something in Korean.
That was Bolton again.
I am pretty sure that,
We had the clip of the guy saying,
Yes,
Bolton, we hate Bolton, we hate him, we hate him, we hate him.
But I'm pretty sure that, I have the report, I have written things.
I want to hear something where Pence
I don't have any clips. I
don't believe Pence was the guy. It was always Bolton.
I think Pence came back and reiterated it.
Well, you better get some clips that, and you're not going to be able to do it for Thursday. Let's just go with the ABC report wrap in the overview.
Okay, the wrap in the overview it is.
I'm Joo-hee Cho in Seoul at the Blue House, where South Korea's president briefed reporters about the second meeting in a month with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on Saturday. The secret meeting between the two leaders, which Moon said Kim requested, highlighted an urgency to salvage the summit between the U.S. and North Korea. Kim expressed fixed will to a face-to-face summit with Trump, but Kim wanted the U.S. to guarantee that he will stay in power after the nation gives up its nuclear arsenal. Moon delivered a message from the White House that the U.S. will offer economic assistance if Pyongyang implements complete denuclearization. A senior official here at the president's office said it all comes down to an issue of trust in a background briefing. The meeting follows a whirlwind of back and forth between the U.S. and North Korea, in which Trump canceled the highly anticipated June 12th summit, only to say the meeting could be back on. Moon, desperate to work out differences between the two, says he expects the meeting to turn out fine as working-level preparatory talks resume between Washington and North Korea. The two Korean leaders have agreed to another meeting on June 1st between their top officials before the U.S. and the North potentially meet on the 12th. I'm Joo-hee Cho in Seoul, and you're watching ABC News.
It didn't take me long to find it. Will you take CNBC as a source?
Sure.
A high-ranking North Korean minister called U.S. Vice President Mike Pence a political dummy for likening her country to Libya just days after Pyongyang explicitly rejected all comparisons to the North African state. Speaking in a May 21st interview on Fox News, Pence said the reclusive regime could end up like the North African country, Libya, if Kim Jong-un doesn't make a deal. Okay?
Oh, that's different, though.
That's exactly what I said.
No. I was under the impression you were talking about the casual comment that this is a good thing. It's just going to be like Libya when they gave up their nuclear arms, which is what Bolton did.
Well, no, that's not what I said at all. I said that Pence talked about the Libya strategy, and then Kim Jong-un's guy, I said it was a woman. I didn't know that. Said, "Hey, shut up! Tell the vice president to shut up about it." And he specifically said
he should
Libya.
shut up about it.
But see, you just overrode me.
Okay. No, you proved your point. I don't know why you have to beat me up.
The point is, I think it was done intentionally. That was the whole premise of why I even mentioned it.
Maybe. It wouldn't surprise me, because this whole thing is really, it's you at the end of this era, Trump's either going to be the greatest genius we've ever had as president with all this crazy negotiating tactics that we can't figure out, or just a bonehead. I don't know. But play this, because this is the thing that's kind of getting me right now, which is NOCO back on or not.
Surprise meeting in the DMZ this morning. South Korean President Moon Jae-in and North Korea's Kim Jong-un attempted to revamp the on-again, off-again summit between President Trump and the North Korean dictator. After canceling the summit on Thursday, President Trump hinted on Friday it could take place on June 12th in Singapore as planned.
No, we'll see what happens. It could even be the 12th. We're talking to them now.
Behind-the-scenes planning for what would be an historic meeting continues as all parties are now speaking again. A team of White House staffers led by Joe Hagan is set to begin laying the groundwork this weekend. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said today the White House pre-advance team for Singapore will leave as scheduled in order to prepare should the summit take place. This morning, President Trump rejected via tweet a New York Times report suggesting a June 12th meeting with the North Koreans would be impossible considering the lack of time to prepare. Wrong again, the president tweeted. Use real people, not phony sources. But Thursday, just hours after President Trump canceled the summit, a senior White House official said as much. There's really not a lot of time. We've lost quite a bit of time that we would need in order to, there's been an enormous amount of preparation that's gone on over the past few months. June 12th is in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I heard that that briefing on background, as they call it, because it was recorded. And it was really wishy-washy. It wasn't like, oh, it's not impossible. That was verbatim what was said. Yeah, it's tough, but I didn't. No one said it's not going to happen. We can't make it happen anymore.
I just find this whole thing to be melodramatic.
Look, they want Trump to fail. That's the whole point. Yeah. So that's what you're seeing.
They especially want him to fail on this because you know what happens if this goes through and there's actually a meeting and something good comes of it, right?
That would be horrible, right?
Nobel Prize.
Yeah, I have not spoken to him, but my mom would have turned 80 on the 21st, and Aunt Meg always sends out a little note to me and my sisters, and it's like it's always a sweet note, and she always talks about the yellow roses, reminds her of my mom, and the weather, the yellow roses haven't really come out yet. That's because of the weather. It's, it hasn't been the sunshine we usually have around this time of year. That's something we can't blame on Trump. It's like, wow, okay, I guess I kind of know the feeling then. I don't think I need to call Don to find out what he's thinking about North Korea. I mean,
he's got to be beside himself.
Could he be so blindsided? Do you think that? Well, again, I'm kind of wary of calling him about it after that comment from his wife. It's like, okay.
So they're basically just blaming Trump for everything. The roses aren't in bloom. Well, we can't do that one.
Close.
That's what it said, right?
Yeah, that's what it said. That's what it said. I know. I was a little saddened by that. Conflating my mom with Trump. This is unnecessary.
Anyway, there's a lot of this North Korea thing. I do have a bunch of clips. I don't want to play them because we're wrapping up, but it's becoming a melodrama. It's almost corny. It's
I think it's intentional. This is my entire point.
I think you're right, and I think I don't know what's going to come of it. I have no idea.
I think it's done.
Yes, these guys.
John, it's a done deal. There is a deal already done.
Probably.
And Trump and Jinping have probably already figured it out. And do not undercount Moon. Moon is very important in this. And Moon and Kim Jong-un, I think they want to.
Well, you know what this all means, which is really disconcerting, is it means that the military-industrial complex has to have some other thing to make money on if this Korea thing, becomes peace. If peace breaks out, what are we going to do?
What happens when peace breaks out? The people did not know what to do with peace. They looked at it, observed it from several angles, and couldn't understand what it exactly did for them.
They have to have some alternative. This has to have been done. Some alternative mechanism for making as much or more money in a peace situation than they have in selling these junk armaments to the South Koreans. And it also changes the and I'm going to use it, the calculus. It's such a dumb word. With China, because everyone thinks that we put all this crap in South Korea really to aim it at China, all the spy gear and everything else, just to listen in on them. How does that work now? How do we deal with that? This is not trivial. This whole thing.
Well, maybe look, we threw another $100 billion into the pot with the National Defense Authorization Act. Actually, it was a little more, probably like 130 billion extra dollars over last year's budget.
Yes.
Maybe that was the North Korea stuff, it's only, 6 or 7 billion. It's not a huge amount. It's important to a Rand or a Raytheon or a Boeing or these kinds of outfits. It's important to them, but maybe something was in there like, here, take some money. Let's do a little less war. And I just can't imagine we're going to be aggressive towards China if the deal happens, because they would have to be in the deal. So to me, it's at first I couldn't. Tina kept saying, "I think Trump does this on purpose." I don't want to give him that much credit. But the more I look at it, I mean, what else is he doing? I mean, and the way he I know guys in business who do stuff like this. You know him too. Screw you. And they somehow wind up with a deal.
Yeah, and Trump's done a lot of interesting. I mean, when he got that post office that he turned into the hotel in Washington, D.C., I followed that whole deal from the beginning. I don't know how he got that. How he ended up with it is beyond me.
Any collusion?
Maybe the Russians did it.
Well, the real collusion with the Russians is certainly with Germany, who are always very quiet on the topic. But we had Gerhard Schroeder speak out, slamming, just butt slamming, just butt slamming the United States of Europe and the United States of America. And he is I think he's the chairman of the entire Nord Stream 2 project. This is a big deal. I think it's set to maybe double the amount of gas that Russia can get into Germany. And I mean, I don't understand why the EU puts up with Germany. Here's Schroeder.
Former German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder slammed the EU Commission and the US.
It's nothing better than having a non-English speaker saying slammed. He slammed. He slammed. He slammed.
Whoa, you got butt slammed.
Before you
Sorry, yes.
Before you keep continuing this clip, I want to kind of go back to what you said. I don't understand, you said, how the EU puts up with Germany.
Yeah.
Germany is the EU.
Yes, I know that. It's the German Empire. I know that. But when I say that, I mean the rest of the EU. You know, all the other member states.
They're subordinate.
They're very subordinate, but they're also complicit. The Dutch are in this, and the French are in this deal.
Former German Chancellor Gerhard Schroeder slammed the EU Commission and the US for putting obstacles to the Nord Stream 2 pipeline project, which he chairs. The joint project between Russia's Gazprom and 5 European companies is opposed by Moscow's European neighbors. I haven't yet heard a rational reason for Brussels' resistance. It seems, though, very diplomatically speaking, that behind this resistance are specific economic interests. Interests of some EU governments and the neighboring countries, and of course the economic interests of competing companies. And also the economic interests of the US that have very clearly, for whatever reasons, expressed their opposition to this project. A pipeline will run under the Baltic Sea, and critics fear it would allow Russia to further control the gas supply to Eastern European countries. Construction is supposed to start in July, and once completed, it is planned to double Russia's gas export capacity to Germany.
Double. There you go. Double. And so then the Germans have it. And then you've got the Germans as the gatekeeper. You know, that there seems to be a trend that they're not building houses with gas anymore in Europe.
What do you is it electric?
Yes.
That's a bad idea.
I think in the Netherlands it's verboten even.
To have gas?
You're not allowed in this. You cannot build a new house with gas. It's just it has to be electric.
In the Pacific Northwest where we live, all the houses are electric. There's no gas. You have to, if you want to have gas, you get a propane tank, and you have somebody fill it up once in a while. You use propane. It turns out that the overall amount of money you spend because you're using electricity to heat, to cook, to do anything with is outrageous. It's a complete jip. Gas is the way to go.
New homes, gas, EU. I have a feeling there may be some. I wonder if there was some kind of larger.
And then you have all these power plants as intermediaries. When you get gas, that gas comes into your house and you use it. When you're burning it, you burn it all. Your efficiency is extremely high. If you send the same gas to a power plant to generate electricity, and then you have to send the electricity down these transmission lines, you use half of the efficiency is shot. This is like, ridiculous. This is like the thing we had earlier in the show with the BART train, diesel versus electric.
The Dutch government,
half as much.
The Dutch government wants to start building new houses without a connection to the gas network starting this year. This is from January 25th. The Tweede Kamer, the lower house of Dutch parliament, already agreed that new homes should not be connected to the gas network, but the government thinks that this can be started sooner than the 4 years planned. On Thursday, the coalition wants to arrange that average new homes are built without this connection. Currently, Dutch homes are often heated with gas, and many newly built homes are delivered with a connection to the gas network. If the government has its way, this will change from this year. New residential buildings will only be connected to the gas network if there's no other possible way. For example, if heating the home with the heat network or heat pump systems is impossible or much more expensive. The heat network?
Do they have a heat network? They have one. I know they have one in Iceland.
Well, I know we have a cooling network here in Austin with cooled water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, remember the old place?
It's pretty advanced.
It sucks. It's horrible.
But does it? Because it doesn't work?
It doesn't. It doesn't really get extremely cold, and I think it brought in pathogens and mold and all kinds of other crap into my house.
What does it leak?
No, it was moist.
Moist.
Yes, moist.
Oh.
Moist.
Moist.
For those of you who don't like the moist, I should do a little more moist. There you go. So that's another way to restrict Russia, Russia from their oil bounty.
You still need the gas is still needed to run the power plants to generate the electricity, unless you're going to use coal, and that's verboten.
Yeah.
Fuel oil, are you going to use that? That stuff's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Well, maybe someone has some information on that. I did have, let me see, I had a couple of things to wrap up, notes from producers. This was actually, someone sent me a link. This was from 538. That's is it Nate Silver, the guy who predicted the election wrong?
Yeah, the guy who got one thing right once, I think, and it became a big deal.
So they did the
guy has done a great job of milking it.
He's still a big deal in Dimension B. Which anonymous sources are worth paying attention to? And they have a list of 5. And the number 1 is organization sources. And the number 2 is familiar people. And I want to read verbatim what he wrote. A person familiar with person X's thinking, or sources familiar with person X's plans, associates of person X. You should trust these sources. Quotes attributed to sources familiar with the thinking of a person are often quite reliable. Why? A major newspaper like the New York Times or the Washington Post is not going to suggest that a source is familiar with someone's thinking without being pretty sure of it. This is a fairly precise term. It also puts the news organization at a clear risk, as person X can obviously deny what an article has said he or she is thinking. So he actually believes this is a good source.
Now, we're talking about a clip that was played on the last show.
Yes.
Where NBC's Holly Jackson threw this little gem into the middle of a report, which is not a person familiar with the situation, but a person familiar with Trump's, in this case, thinking, which I excoriated. I thought this was a hopeless and bad idea.
Yeah.
Which you agreed with.
Yes.
And now you found this?
Someone sent it to me. I was like, gee. Well, no.
It's terrible. That makes it so they've institutionalized this on the is this the liberal side of things? Is this Media Matters? Who's giving this the seal of approval?
I don't know. I mean, I think Nate Silver is linked in with the elite, so it must be general thinking.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Bring in Chloe or whoever was the psychic network.
I'll bring in some real science if you don't mind. New book, which is a book on psychopathic behavior. Findings presented in a new book by Oxford research psychologist Dr. Kevin Dutton. He works in the Department of Experimental Psychology, sounds like MK Ultra, at Oxford University, and he has written a book, The Wisdom of Psychopaths, What Saints, Spies, and Serial Killers Can Teach Us About Success. The book, it caught my eye.
I love the premise.
It caught my eye. The book details the jobs that are most likely to attract psychopaths. And there's a list of jobs most likely to attract psychopaths. I'll start by asking you what you think number 1 would be.
high-tech CEO.
CEO, top of the list. Number 1, CEO is where you'll find the most psychopaths.
Yep.
What is the lowest on the top 10? Number 10.
The lowest on the top 10.
Yeah, so it's in the top 10, but it's number 10.
A lawyer.
Close. Lawyers are 9. Chef. A chef is where you'll find the psychopaths.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
You want me to do the list? Or I like.
No, what you think I'm crazy?
No, your guesses are good. Would you give me just?
I'm not guessing anymore. I think I've proven my point. But go through the list so everyone can hear it. This has got to be dynamite.
10. Number 10, chefs. Number 9, lawyers. Number 8, surprise new entry into our top 10, surgeons.
Oh,
that's nice to know. And stationary number 7 this week on our psychopath top 10 jobs, salespeople. I think we could have figured that one out. Number 6 is an entry that's been there for thousands of years, clergy. Clergy is where you're going to find some psychopaths. Police, number 5.
Yeah.
But not to be outdone at number 4 by public servants.
I see that.
Number 3, here we are, John, finally, media presenters. Number 2, close to the number 1, is journos. Yes, media presenters and journalists are these are the jobs where you find the most psychopaths. Hopefully, in a future version of the list, we'll put podcasters on there as we split out the media presenters entry. But I think
we're surrounded by these guys. What are we going to do?
Who says we're not the ones?
I'm pretty sure we're not.
All right.
At least I know I'm not.
Oh, thanks for the vote of confidence.
Well, you're the one that suggested it to begin with. With how do we know we're not? And so I begged off and left you standing there. Yeah.
Dogs are people too.
All right. Brand new product to share with you as we continue to look at the this is something the banker said. I was laying this on him. He's like, we're talking about it on the show. I guess he hasn't listened in a while, so he says. Said dogs. Or more specific, the owners of dogs. And I'm telling him about all this stuff and what we're seeing in the cities. And he's like, So he's bored. You're like, yeah. So what? You're not annoyed by this? No. This has been going on for 40 years in New York City. I think confirming that it really is a city thing, an urban, and maybe look at New York's makeup as well. So that is kind of confirmation of what you've been saying. That it really concentrates around the cities. But it doesn't matter. We still have fun products and vocabulary to share.
We've all seen those heart-wrenching commercials. But just imagine if that was your furry family member locked up, scared, and just wanting to go home. Now, imagine if we could give you a way to prevent this from ever happening. With the Whistle 3 GPS pet tracker and activity monitor, we can assure you'll never lose your furry baby. The Whistle 3 pet tracker uses GPS, Wi-Fi, and cellular location to accurately locate the exact position of your playful pup. The Whistle 3 pet tracker is a device that attaches to the collar of your pet. It will notify you through email, app, or text when your pet leaves their safe space, but not before they get too far away. Our product features the ability to track your dog's fitness, daily activity, and rest, stay charged for up to 7 hours, work under rough and wet conditions, and it monitors nationwide. $79.95 plus a small monthly subscription can extend the number of years of tail wags, wet kisses, and morning snuggles. USA Today, Men's Health, and BuzzFeed all give the Whistle 3 pet tracker a wagging review for keeping pets connected and safe. And even though we're sure you'll love it, you'll get 90 days to play risk-free. So get yours today, the Whistle 3 GPS pet tracker and activity monitor.
Man, that thing's got it all. From the people.
Well, they definitely got the right voiceover actress.
Yeah, from the people who won't have a talking tube in their home. Man, did you hear the shit that was on that? Cell phone, GPS, Wi-Fi. Woo!
No, Jay works for a dog walking company. She's one of the managers. They have these things called meet and greets before they take on any new clients.
A meet and greet
with the dog.
Before the dog mania only used for celebrity rock stars.
Yeah, these meet and greets are you meet the owner and you meet the dog, and then you as the dog walking company decide whether you want to take them on as a client. And many people are rejected for all sorts of reasons. I should collect more than a few of these stories. But this last woman that they went to meet had all these requirements for the dog, and she was like a nutcase. She said, we refuse to take her on. But one of the things she said she wanted was you had to have a one of those whistles in your, one of these dog blasters, whatever they were called. You talked about them.
Yeah.
That you said, I don't know what, the dog bomb or whatever they're called.
The dog dazer.
The dog dazer. She said specifically that the walker had to have a dog dazer with them at all times, and when the dog barked ever, you blast him.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And you think that's going to go over well with this crowd?
So that was out.
Dogs are people too. To the strain.
I wanted to put a little Hillary in there. There we go. All right. With that, the show comes to an end. Thank you for voting 38. It's appreciated.
Vote 38.
Vote 38.
Vote 38.
Even though
we this number counting until the next Sunday, we'll have more votes, hopefully.
Yeah, and then if you're voting 37, tell us why. We are actually quite interested.
Hopefully you won't vote 37 and say the show's great. 37 means you hate the show and it's got to go.
Yeah. And all 37s will be read. It's a new rule that I just made up. All right.
If you do a 37, we'll read your note.
Yep. So no live show on Thursday, but we will have a best of, and we're open to other suggestions if you have them. And coming to you from the 5x9 Cludio here in downtown Austin, Texas. It's the capital of the Drone Star State, FEMA Region 6 on the maps in the common law condo. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm going to tease next Sunday's shows because I found an old book in my collection of Norwegian jokes that were once sold as collections at the Minneapolis St. Paul Airport. I'm John C. Dvorak.
Yeah, until next Sunday. Adios, mofos. Hey, I still need a cab.
Let's see. Oh, that's it.
Not me, baby. Send a night ring out here for me. 33. I've been an awful good slave. Not me, baby. Not me on our podcast tonight.
Now totally banned. No insects, goats, hedgehogs, ferrets, spiders, chickens, or hawks, or any animal that smells.
Might we be surprised to see on the table at a Tudor feast?
Well, heron, seagull, porpoise, and swan,
or any animal that smells.
sprinkled with gold leaf and embellished within an inch of their lives, that would come up from the kitchens.
Keep in mind the Libya model from 2003.
And then you would use a knife to cut off your little bits. Yes, and it was a fashion accessory. The more glorious your knife.
Chaos. Russians are chaos. Russians are chaos. Russians are chaos. Russians are anti-chaos. That's certainly characteristic of Putin. Anti-chaos, anti-revolutionary.
Famous in the UK for being the royal bankers.
There's a huge amount of love for Harry, and I think for the past few years there's been a lot of pressure on Harry. When's he going to settle down?
Over in the Bahamas.
And did they approach you?
Oh yes.
They were also approached by people who were offering to use their daughter's name for charity purposes, but they were gaffer's tape and no detonator on it with brown, other devices which may have been found here.
It's the royal family, it's not the British people, it's British.
Damn the torpedoes! Full speed ahead! Whoa!
Always have been by our masculinity.
And the model of masculinity that boys and the men that they grow into seems to be broken.
Basic question of all, is masculinity itself really toxic? And what happens to boys when we tell them that it is?
The following podcast contains programming for human resources. So, who eats bugs?
Slays and spideys.
And what happens when you eat bugs?
I poo when I don't want to.
Results may vary. Listener discretion is advised.
We eat bugs? You eat bugs? Nothing like freshly caught bugs. You want to try? Ooh, thanks. I love bugs.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
I like bugs.